Hospital port as pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 49th of my comments reply video series. In this video I will reply to the comments you've left in the comments boxes underneath my videos, hence the title. I always feel I should do that. I feel obliged to when you, the viewer, have taken the trouble to put your thoughts and feelings down onto the box under the video, and I always feel obliged to give you some acknowledgement, even a reply, a very detailed reply, because some of the replies, some of you just say how you like them. I get some nasty ones too, which are quite funny, really, and I get some really in-depth comments which require a response, maybe leading into a discussion. Now, you might think, well, Ben, I only want one comment. This is a 9-hour video. I'm not going to watch the whole thing just to reply to one comment. Well, you don't have to watch the whole thing, although I know many of you do. What I'll do is underneath the video, underneath the comment I'm replying to, I will put a comment in reply to that saying, thank you for your comment. It will be answered in, and I'll give you a timestamp to within the nearest hour of the upcoming reply to comments video. So within that hour will be the time, will be the space allocated in which time I will reply to the comment under question. What's more, 9-hour videos, and my comments reply videos do tend to be quite long. However, they're getting shorter. It's actually, I haven't left much of a gap since I replied to comments 48, so this one might even be under 2 hours. I don't know. So they are getting shorter anyway. A lot of you watch them all the way through anyway. Like I said, I know a lot of you enjoy them. You want to watch them all the way through. I enjoy making them. I think it's fun, and that's another reason, and I think reason enough for me to make them. So, if you're all sitting comfortably, let us begin. We're going to begin with, on reply to comments 48, Darren Hesmond says, hi Ben. Hi Darren, how you doing? And on the same video, Tim the Pigeon Master says, yo Ben. That's better than Captain Blackadder the Pigeon Murderer. That was Flanders Pigeon Murderer. Yeah, classic comedy, guys, classic comedy. He says, yo Ben. Yo Tim, how you doing? Thanks for watching. On the same video, Ravenhill, the Mystery Black Hooded Merchant, 1968. That's another good name there, Ravenhill. He changes his name every so often, just like Charles does of Project Camelot. And they get more and more clever, I'll tell you. Ravenhill, I'm absolutely fine, mate. How are you? Same video, John Fused says, top lad, I saw you on a video in Bexley Heath near me about the 50s UFO incident. Yes, the Bexley Heath UFO, that was very interesting. Margaret Fry wrote about that in her book. I don't know if you've been to the area. I thought about knocking on any doors and asking if any people remember it, but maybe I'll go back there and do that sometime. Okay. I replied to comments 48. Nothing as it seems says. I found it difficult to reply towards the abortion stances. Whence a consciousness enters into being should be regarded as a spark of life. Yeah, I mean that's referring to the video called March for Life. Yeah, but I don't mind. You can reply on this one. That's absolutely fine. It's replied to comments 48. Like I said, the anti-life stance, as it's called, which is the pro-life, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. But it's the pro-choice side. There's so much propaganda in these names. The anti-abortion side, the things that the people who think that that's what abortion should be allowed and acceptable. But let's say things like, it's not conscious, it has no working brain, it's just a clump of cells, etc., etc. In the same way, the pro-life side says, well, consciousness begins at a certain point, and a lot of the New Age are pro-abortion because they say, well, consciousness doesn't enter into it. It's just a piece of meat with no consciousness at all until the parents decide they want to keep it. As I said, I think that's a little bit convenient, and I don't go along with that at all. We don't know. There are too many unknowns. There are too many variables that we don't yet understand. We don't even understand correctly what consciousness is. As I explained in a video I made a little while ago about free will, I think we have to err on the side of caution and assume that every living thing has a consciousness, including an unborn baby. Nothing as it seems says, Russell is your only roommate. Why not have a putty tat I'm sure you could find someone to watch her while you're gone. I think you mean a pussycat. Oh no, it's too much looking after. I know that they're easier to look after than dogs, but I don't want a cat. I used to live in a house with 5 cats. I'm catted up, I think, as far as I'm concerned. I think, you know, my company comes from you guys, really. You guys are my companions. David Smith says, and whence doth... I love the way you guys talk. You sound like elves from Lord of the Rings. But though King Elrond gets it wrong, doesn't he? Very famously, he says from whence it came, when he should have said whence it came or from where it came. I think that's done deliberately, actually. David Smith said, and whence doth a consciousness enter unto being precisely? Your comment seems to be saying that the time is exactly that saying the time is exactly what the time is. Yeah, David, you're right there, I think. Yes, that's the point. That's a good point. A reply to comments 48, we have Checkpoint saying... Let's see. I said the names of the members of SEAL Team 6 who took part in the operation to kill bin Laden will never be known to the public. Yeah, I mean, that's the way it works, isn't it? I also said none of the members of SEAL Team 6 who were killed when their helicopter was shot down in Afghanistan took part in said operation. That's not a contradiction. The names are still not known, apart from the one mentioned, Robert O'Neill, who broke the code of silence. Yet it turns out he wrote a book, and he couldn't resist it. We have only been told it wasn't the guys in the helicopter. Remember, there's 1,787 of them. There's no need for backfilling simply because we don't know who they are. No, that's not. That is a contradiction. Checkpoint. We have been told by the officialdom that the people who were killed in the helicopter did not take part in the operation to kill bin Laden, apparently. However, they won't tell you who did kill bin Laden. Robert O'Neill claims to be the man who killed bin Laden, but of course the government will not confirm or deny that, whether he is or not. He just has written a book saying, oh, I did it. Well, anyone could do that. I mean, Don Shipley could do that if he wanted to. I don't think he will. I think he's too honest, but I think anyone could do that, you know. One of the fake Navy SEALs he goes after could do that. Bill Wood could do that, couldn't he? They won't confirm or deny it. And so we basically have the government saying, oh, don't worry. Well, not don't worry, but they said the members of SEAL Team 6 who were in the helicopter which was shot down in Afghanistan, they weren't the ones who took part in the operation to kill bin Laden. Yeah, we won't tell you who they are, but we just take it from us. Just take our word for it. They're not the same ones. Not good enough. Checkpoint. It is a contradiction. Here we go. Yes, Apollo 13 could have done a direct abort. It matters not what the Apollo detectives say. Well, it does if they're right. Checkpoint. We're talking science here, and you don't want to get it confirmed by them. Rhetoric, no argument. Have you not seen the movie Apollo 13 when they discuss this? Let's have a look.
Introducing the first ever...
Bloody ads. Hang on. Okay, right. Skip ad. Brainstorming.
Okay, people, listen up.
Oh, this is a scene from the film.
I want you all to forget the flight plan. From this moment on, we are improvising a new mission.
Oh, come on. Sorry. We'll get somebody to look at that. I'll get a bulb around here.
How do we get our...
I love those old overhead projectors. Takes me back to school days. I'm not that old though.
They are here. We turn them around, straight back,
Yes.
direct abort.
No,
sir. We get them on a free return trajectory. It's the option with the fewest question marks for safety.
I agree with Jerry. Use the moon's gravity, slingshot them around.
No, the LEM will not support 3 guys for that amount of time.
Barely holds
I mean, we've got to do a direct abort. We do an
All
about
right, okay. Hang on.
face. We bring the guys right home right now.
Get them back soon, absolutely.
We don't even know if the Odyssey's engine's even working, and if there's been serious damage to this spacecraft...
They blow up...
All right, I get the point. I think Checkpoint. Okay. It's 2 minutes long. I thought it was 30 seconds, but those were the ads. I'm not going to watch all that. Well, you'll be pleased to know that we will be discussing this in a future Apollo Detectives program. So maybe this will come up. Here we go again. He carries on. You could put that down to it being in a movie. So here's the Apollo 13 abort press conference. Okay, here's another video. Oh, that's an hour and 10 minutes. Okay. Chris Kraft favoured a direct abort. Okay, your comment. Well, this is all going to come up in the Apollo detectives. You could be all right. They may not want to discuss it. We'll see. Your comment about undoing the Delta V makes no sense. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It would only do if they have the propellant and power necessary to turn around and come back. As you just heard, it could be that the service module's engine, well, the service module was damaged so badly that basically they were using the LEM engine, weren't they? Delta V is a measure of the impulse per unit of spacecraft mass that is needed to perform a maneuver, such as an in-space orbital maneuver. It's not the same as physical change of the velocity of the vehicle. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Newton's laws, mate. As a simple example, take a conventional rocket-propelled spacecraft which achieves thrust by burning fuel. Delta V is produced by the reaction engines, such as rocket engines, and is proportional to the thrust per unit mass and the burn time. Yeah, again, basic physics. It's used to determine the mass of the propellant required for the given maneuver through Tsiolkovsky's rocket equation. Let's not forget you said a spaceship can't turn round and come back. Complete lack of understanding. I did say that, but it's not a complete lack of understanding, and you spell complete... you check your spelling, mate. I think you have a misunderstanding on how you spell complete. C-O-M-P-L-E-A-T. It's only a misunderstanding if I underestimated the amount of propulsion available to that spacecraft. How is the uniforms being wrong for the time not a mistake and proof of a hoax in the Russian Roswell case? Of course it's a mistake, and the giveaway is that it is a hoax. They're wearing the wrong uniform for that supposed time that it was filmed. How much more of a giveaway can you get? You saw the film supposedly from 1810, and the people are wearing Nike Air trainers. You would know it's not genuine. Yeah, those who have analysed this hoax and have not spotted the mistake and not clued up on Russian military uniforms. Well, firstly, it's a slightly different film supposedly from 1810, and they're wearing Nike Air trainers. This is slightly different, and in fact, the guy they interview in the film says the uniforms and weapons are correct. So which is it? Which is it, Checkpoint? Are you right or are they right? Or different people say different things. Also, let's not forget the flash frames and things like that in the autopsy scene. There's a whole lot more to it about that. Please watch the video I've made on this subject if you haven't already. We have here. Okay. Israel Diego Rivera 2 Genius 2 The Real Genius says, Ben, the seismic activity at hang on. Come on. Something's happened. And I've got to scroll down again. Oh, my God. Oh. Come on, something happened. I pressed the wrong button and I ended up being moved to a different place within the comments sections, and I'm going to have to scroll down now till I get back to where I was before. It's not actually too bad because I've got less time. I've got less questions now than I did before. Come on. Okay. Where was I? Yes. Israel Diego Rivera 2 Genius 2 The Real Genius says, Ben, the seismic activity at La Cumbre Vieja volcano started on 9/11. Oh, right. Charles from Project Camelot says, hardly meaningful as there is seismic activity several times a day somewhere in the world. Maybe not in that specific location, Charles. And Diego Rivera says to Charles, it started on 9/11, Mr. Illuminati. Charles says to Diego Rivera, also on 9/11, Charles the Great crowns Louis the First Emperor. Is that Charles the Great, one of your organisations, I bet, isn't it? Angelus kills Stephanus Haglio Christophoritis. The Battle of Teutoburg Forest ends. Santiago, Chile is destroyed by indigenous warriors, led by Michimalonco. All right, so Charles is making the point that a lot of things happen on a particular day. Okay, and it's sort of like it's the law of large numbers, basically. If you throw an arrow, if you shoot some arrows into an orchard, sooner or later you're going to hit an apple. That sort of thing. Yeah. Diego Rivera says to Charles, it's an important date for the Freemasons. Charles says, and Diego Rivera, important events happen on that day. Charles. Important events happen on most days. It's called history on a large planet. Diego Rivera. You are a coincidence theorist, Charles. You want to believe too much, huh? Well, it's and the wrangle goes on. Reply to comments 48. David Splendid Isolation. They said that the BBC had received the information about the WTT7 from one of the mainstream news outlets like Reuters, and were quick to relay it. The building was expected to fall, as videos from nearby show, with emergency workers stating as much. The question is how they knew this would definitely happen. Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? Yeah, the idea that it was just a misunderstanding because they just said they were not going to try and put the fire out led to them saying it's fallen. You know, that was a misunderstanding. Excuse me. Well, I'm not sure that's the case. You see, that's what the skeptics say, but that sounds like they're desperately trying to cover their tracks. David Smith says, wow, a miracle. Something you said that I agree with. I think firefighters could tell that it was a lost cause. There are videos showing huge fires inside the building, so they probably have some experience in knowing what to expect in those kinds of situations. I'm sure they do, but, Jane Stanley says the Salomon Brothers building has fallen. It's collapsed. Not that, they think it's going to collapse, or it might collapse, or I can't believe it's not a collapse, or anything like that. It has collapsed. That needs an explanation. Gary Robinson says in reply to comments 48, hi mate, in regard to the allegations against Miles, I had a friend who was arrested and questioned for the same thing. He was innocent as far as I remember, the whole thing was completely made up by the lady who was his accuser. It's a tricky one because it's necessary for the authorities to take such claims seriously, but on the other hand, troublemakers can take advantage of the situation to land innocent people in a lot of trouble. Also, once a person has the allegation attached to them, they will always be known as someone who was questioned for nonsing. Even if they're innocent, Miles needs a PR team. Cheers. Yeah, that's precisely. I think there should be some kind of legal consequences for women who make false rape allegations. There really should be. At the moment, they have to be sued by their accuser, but really it should be a crime to do that. It should come under defamation. Defamation. It really should. The feminists won't like me saying that. Well, tough. Murchie says on reply to comments 48. Hi, Ben. Thank you for replying to my comment the other day. That was nice of you. You seem a very nice, honest man. Thank you, Murchie. Glad you enjoyed that. Again, this is Gary Robinson again in reply to comments 48. In regards to the Haitian migrants, Ben, there were eventually over 15,000 of them, and it took 2 weeks to clear the area. I heard that a lot of families with children were allowed to stay in the USA, which I think is fair enough, as there is nothing to go back to. However, most of the single men of fighting age were sent back on planes via San Antonio Airport. I saw in the news that there were a number of instances of them fighting with pilots and immigration officers on the flights. Many of them were admitted to hospital in my city in Mexico, at which point they started finding a lot of them had AIDS and TB. This wasn't mentioned in the news, but apparently they were bussed here by a certain organisation that doesn't like publicity. I won't say who, but Netflix makes a lot of TV shows about them, if you know what I mean. Cheers. Right. I could probably guess there's 4 or 5 organisations I can guess might be behind this, Gary. As for I'm glad they have actually managed to return them. They have actually managed to repatriate these single men of fighting age. As for the families and children, I think eventually they have to be repatriated too. I understand that maybe for the time being, as a temporary measure for their welfare, they can't really be allowed. They can't really go back to the country. I think once the aid workers have done something to repair the infrastructure from the earthquake damage, then all of them should be repatriated, in my view. The Alderborough platform, Wayne RS4, nice one, Ben. More of these types of videos, please. I'll do my best, Wayne. I'm working on some more of them. I will. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You get a love heart for that. Reply to comments 48. Charles says, no, Ben. Humans are covered in hair. It's just very fine. Humans are the same as apes and not fish, as both gestate in amniotic fluid regardless of nostril position. Next. Okay, well, humans, yes, we do have fine hair. I mean, you can see it on my arm. We do. Even you know, even very feminine women will have that. Some of them shave it, or they bleach it, or they wax it or something. But yeah, we do have fine hair, but I'm thinking that this is nothing compared to the kind of hair that apes have. Of course, some humans have a lot of hair too. I mean, you know, look at you know, some humans are very hairy, others are not. I mean, Robert Williams, I remember from when he stripped off in the Fisher King. You can see he's very swarthy, but others don't. You know, it depends on the individual. Humans are the same as apes and not fish. Okay, I never said that humans were the same as fish. Nostril position. You're referring here to cetaceans, which are mammals, not fish. Funny enough, there's been a bit of fuss lately because the bird of the year for this year apparently is a bat, and people don't like it that it's a bat. Well, of course, I mean, duh. A fish isn't a bat and a bird are two different things. I understand that that's a problem. The same way a fish and you see, people say like things like, oh, fish. We thinking about fish. Any kind of large animal that swims in the sea is a fish. People get it wrong. But no. A fish is a particular class of creature. It's the majority of the creatures that swim in the sea. But you also have mammals in the forms of dolphins, whales, and semi-aquatic animals like sea lions and seals. And you also have sharks. Sharks are not fish. They are a separate class. And again, they are very different indeed. But people tend to see something with fins and a tail flapping and they think that's a fish. Humans are not like fish. We're not like sharks. But we are similar to cetaceans. The list of things I gave, Charles, I think that's something that needs to be taken on board. The list of features that I mentioned does indicate that we have there is something about our lineage as a species that needs explanation. Charles on reply to comments 48 says, so the definition of free speech is that Ben can say anything he wants about Brian Cox, and I get to spend time in the bedroom of the vicar's daughter. Very good of you, Ben. I'll take it. No, I don't say. I could say anything I like about Brian Cox. Well, I can't break the law relating to him. I could be rude about him, yeah, because I don't like him, and he's rude to people like me. I'm not addressing him directly, though. He's not addressing me. He probably has never heard of me. The only time he ever responded directly, when he responded in a third-party way to someone I know, was when he actually talked about somebody kept emailing him, someone I know was emailing him, and he says, a notice to nutters, if you use my personal email, I will be rude to you. So I'm giving him as good as I get. Now, this is not the same as attacking somebody specifically. It is not. It's not like going for the vicar's daughter, calling her names is very different to me slagging off Brian Cox as a third party. It's in the same way Brian Cox, he slags me off as a third party too. Without naming me, he attacks people like me. I'm surprised you're jumping on this bandwagon, Charles. I really am. Here we go. On the reply to comments 48. Charles from Project Camelot says, haha, Charles Scott raging again that I'm ignoring him and you won't ban me. Well, yeah, I won't ban you, Charles. No, as I've explained to him, I don't think you've done nothing that warrants being banned. He fails to mention that most of my comments on here are of a sceptical nature, refuting your position, Ben. So what is his problem exactly? He's got into an argument with you, and he's done what many people do when they get into arguments. It eventually becomes like a personal animosity thing, you know? Charles carries on. Know why he's desperately trying to backpedal on this tribunal thingamabob? It's because I know who he is and he doesn't want that to come out in a public way. It's a LARP, Ben. Oh, and I've had his CS account blocked for months, and I'm only aware he is still banging on because of your comments reply videos. He's frankly telling lies about there being any interactions between us. Okay. All right, Charles, it's good to hear your side of the story too. Yeah, I mean, he's clearly annoyed with you, and like as I explained in the previous reply to comments video, he's doing what this often happens. You get like people, they start expecting other people to take their sides. It's like they say, well, whose side are you on, his or mine? Because I don't like him, and you can either join me in condemning him and you're my friend, or you can just not and try. You can either join him or sit on the fence, and then you're not. That is, I think, it's a very binary, and it's a very binary, unfairly binary way of looking at the world, and it's unfair. It sucks other people into what is essentially an argument between you and him. Last night I recorded a radio show with a station that regularly interviews Andrew Johnson. You know what I think about Andrew Johnson. You know I can't stand him. I never want to be in the same room as him, not least because, well, for legal reasons, I might do or say something that will break the law. What am I supposed to say? If you're going to interview Andrew Johnson, I don't want to be on your show. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm never going to say. I will not say that. So I like to keep these things. Personal things are personal. I leave them that way, Charles. And I'm glad you seem to be able to do that, and I'm pleased. But Charles Scott. Well, I haven't heard from him since I had a go at him in the last video, but up until I last spoke to him, he didn't seem very keen to do that. Get a job, you lazy scroungers, part 1. No, not you, Charles, not you. It's the title of the video. Dark Corners UK says on that video, I only ever signed on once, never again. They make you jump through so many hoops these days to get the pittance they give you. I'd rather starve. It's horrible. It really is revolting humiliation they put people through, and I hate it. I really, really do. I can't stand the dehumanizing element of it. How do they do? I couldn't do that job. I really couldn't. I mean, this goes to show you get these people who say, "Well, I'm just doing my job, mate." You know, it doesn't matter how evil I am or what I'm doing. Just doing my job, mate. Evansland Audiobook Part 5 of 5. I'm working on the text version, guys. It's coming. It's coming. I know I've said that for ages, but I've got a plan. Steve071 says, well, that's a day and a half I won't get back. Only joking, Ben. 6 out of 10. Perhaps a bit tighter editing. One supporter, always a porter. HPANWO, fuck the New World Order. You've left it open-ended for a sequel. Oh, well, thank you, Steve. You get a love heart for that. You actually have a slightly higher opinion of this novel than I do. As I said, it's my debut novel, and a lot of people do like it. I mean, you know, I was talking to Leon Southgate. He loves it. He thinks it's brilliant. I cringe a bit when I read it, actually. It shows, I think I've matured as a writer since then. But again, it's taste. It's a matter of taste. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm working on the text version. As I said, I want it to be preserved. It is my debut novel. I want it to be preserved. Reply to comments 48. Darren Retro says, notice how Insulate Britain are being handled with kid gloves by the police despite causing major dangers and blatantly breaking the law. Is this to make everyone so angry they will agree to making protest illegal? Once once done, they will roll out full Aussie-style tyranny and we won't be able to do anything. Charles says, insulated gloves. Darren Retro, I don't know. There could be some plan behind it. Generally, I find people the big criticism people have of the police right now is they do have this softly approach to things that most people consider very serious, such as violent crime and major disruptions like this. And for example, the BLM riots. They have this, oh, just let them get on with it. They turn a blind eye. You even see them taking a knee. It's absurd. But then they're too heavy-handed with what a lot of people consider victimless crimes. Generally, things that these kinds of crimes are the ones generally where they can make money, involving fines and things like that, such as minor speeding offences or people breaking lockdown rules and things like that. So it's frustrating. I mean, it's nice to see those lorry drivers getting out of their cabs and just dragging these idiots out of the way. It really is. Reply to comments 48, Diego Rivera. The volcano is about to collapse. It's a ritual. It started on 9/11. Charles says, Ben versus the volcano. Yeah, Diego Rivera, I don't think the volcano is about to collapse. It doesn't. There's no signs that there's going to be another mega tsunami. It could happen. If it's likely to happen, we probably would have some notice. There would be seismographic data and things like that. What I do think might happen is one might be started deliberately. It may be possible, perhaps, for instance, detonating some nuclear weapons inside the fault. If they were big enough, I mean, they'd have to be very large, multi-megaton yield bombs. and they'd have to be in exactly the right place. But if they were, it's possible they could trigger some kind of landslide. Yeah. Reply to comments 48, Charles. Not really, Ben. The UAP non-report was kind of sort of distributed by Fox News, who are ironically Trump's media outlet, even though he thinks it's all rubbish himself. No one really cared at that point. Well, Trump didn't. Trump just said, do I believe it? Not particularly. But apart from that, he was very positive. He said, yeah, but I'm interested in what our pilots saw. You know, he started... He, as you know, if you watch my UFO disclosure series, Charles, I'm making another one of them soon. Trump's made some very interesting comments about UFOs indeed. He didn't say he thinks it's all rubbish. It was circulated by Fox News. I know Tucker Carlson, one of their top presenters, he's very interested in this. He really has been quite heroic, I think, when it comes to this sort of thing. So, I think that UAP report is kind of... I know it's kind of stagnated now, and I'm going to be making this point in my next my next UFO disclosure video. But don't forget there's another one due next month. Charles says on reply to comments 48, no, Ben, Avi Loeb doesn't have any actual data at all. His conclusions are based on speculative physics, which is pure pseudoscience. What Avi is calling data is just stuff he made up to fit his story. It isn't based on any actual real recorded data on the object. This is why he had to go to the public domain to get funding. He never told his funders that he was fabricating data. Highly unethical, Ben. I don't think he was, Charles. Now, if you read his book, he describes the object he saw. He describes it. He knows its dimensions because of its the phase of its reflectivity. He estimates that it's rotating on 3 axes. It's very long. It's thin, and it also he makes the point that it's actually changed course slightly at a time when it shouldn't have. Now that is data. You might not like it, but that is actually something that he explains in the book exactly why. That is proper scientific data. It's not unethical at all. Yes, he has set up a crowdfunding system for his Galileo project. Well, how else is he going to do it? If you don't agree with him, don't fund it. Don't give him any money. No one's forcing you to do that. So it is actually real recorded data. It didn't behave like other comets and asteroids. Charles Scott says, "Oh, good, here we go." On reply to comments 48. My forthcoming reply to your comment, Ben, will not be intentionally disrespectful, and I hope to post it within a week to Facebook, just in case YouTube blocks my comments. Yeah, I've fallen out with a few people. Charles from Project Camelot is one of them. For such a repeated, proven to be false, defamatory remark that brings our reputation into disrepute. He's reaffirmed my confidence that it is not rhetoric when I say he is a crackpot, given his comment below and based on his historical comments. I've used brackets in response to his comment below and taken a screenshot. Haha. Okay, Charles. Yeah, he now repeats. He doesn't put it in quotes, but he repeats. He repeats the sort of basically the comment that Charles just made. He says he fails to mention that most of my comments are of. Oh right, that's Charles here. It would help if you use quotations, Charles. What's this? Oh. Oh. So you've got stuff in brackets and there's no quotes here. Hang on. I've never changed my position regarding a tribunal. I've not participated in a live-action role-playing game where players dress as particular characters and act out their roles. Since he blocked me and stopped replying to my comments, there's been no interaction between us, and I've not lied about this matter. All right, Charles, well, it's good to hear your side of the story too. Oh, Bexley Heath UFO incident, part 1 of 4. The lights were low. More of these, Ben. I will do my best. The lights were low. I've done one in Aldeburgh, as you know from the channel. I'll do my best to do another of those at some point. Yeah, I will. All right. To reply to comments 48. David Smith. Ben, I find it offensive that David's splendid isolation is condescending to me and others for simply not believing as he does. When he claims to be of a higher standard, I find it very distressing. Not only does he make these ludicrous claims, but he also says some stupid things, hence I find him to be quite cretinous. Will you be deleting his distressing comments from your channel? In all seriousness, if someone is posting on a public forum and can't handle their views or beliefs being challenged, then my advice is to stay off public forums. I stand by my comment calling him a cretin and believe he made many such comments that demonstrate this. I'd also say he's quite arrogant, among other things. Okay, I actually put a reply to that in text. I said, David Smith, David Splendid Isolation has not asked me to remove your comment, so as far as I'm concerned, the matter is out of my hands. If he does not find your comment objectionable and is happy to give you as good as he gets, that I will not object to your language either. David says to me, I also don't mind being insulted, so you never need worry. I do enjoy your voice impressions. David Splendid Isolation says, I really don't care what you call me. It's water off a duck's back. I won't use name calling myself, but I'll tell the truth, which may or may not be offensive. Compounding or confusing the two is unhelpful. The very best test of free speech is not to abuse but to offend with impunity, to protect unpopular or offensive speech. My assessment is not that you have no standard, but you have a lower standard of the worth of human life. This is how it is when you continue to make excuses for killing unborn humans. So, take offence or not, that's your right, but this is what it is. David Smith says to David Splendid Isolation, you have a lower standard of the worth of human life. No, Dave, I believe this life is all we have, so value it greatly. What do you believe about life after death? And Splendid Isolation didn't get back to him on that. Okay, just 1 second. Oh, sorry. I've just got to... right. Okay. Let me just put that over there. Oh. Right. Bear with me, ladies and gents. David Smith says, I'm replying to comments 48. With regards to my comment about abortion, if you're not willing to donate an organ to a dying person, then why should a mother give her body over to the survival of another? I never said a mother should. That aside, childbirth is no joke. People still do die during childbirth, and then there are those who were raped or abused, which led to their pregnancies. I've addressed that. As for the dying during childbirth, I did say that in the case of, for example, an ectopic pregnancy, there's nothing you can do. You have to save the mother by removing the pregnancy. There's nothing else you can do. An ectopic pregnancy is doomed from the very start. But there are medical exemptions. I don't think anyone would say there are not medical exemptions. With extreme risk to the mother, you would have to make the difficult decision and remove the pregnancy, yeah. Now, childbirth is no joke. Well, this is the way nature made us. What did you want me to say? Do you want to change that? Do you want to change the way viviparous animals give birth and have pregnancy? Do you want to change sexual reproduction? As for those who are raped and abused, which led to their pregnancies, I've covered that. We've already discussed that. You're supposed to be. I think it was you or somebody else was going to be introducing me to somebody who'd had an abortion or something. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. Feel free to. I mean, I'm still waiting. He carries on. The idea that people are just having abortions without much thought isn't a reflection of reality. Unfortunately, I've seen people say it, David. I've seen people say it. I'm not saying that's the case for every single person. When I was at the conference before the march, I actually didn't. I actually saw people speaking some women who had had abortions with an awful lot of thought and an awful lot of reflection. They spoke at the conference. So I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying that I have heard it people regarded as a very, very, very casual. Indeed, it is these days. I mean, it's if it's within the first 8 weeks or something, you'll simply take a pill, and it's like comes out like a heavy period. David carries on. The few people I know who've gone through the procedure found it incredibly distressing and difficult, both before and after. I know, I saw some of them at the conference, David. But do you know what they would find even more difficult? Having an unwanted new life that depended on them or risked causing them harm. Well, you could speak, if they wish you to speak for them, David, then you can speak for them. And I'm sure there may be people who do feel that way. All I know is that I've spoke to many, many other women who don't. And having an unwanted... is a new life... How is a new life unwanted? How is a new life unwanted when every woman who's pregnant knows very well that there is a queue of childless couples a mile long, begging for the opportunity to adopt a baby that was not wanted by the mother? They're begging for that opportunity. Even a reefer baby, as I explained, rape, incest, fetal abnormality. They will gladly adopt a reefer baby. And you say risk causing them harm. I've already been through that at the beginning, medical exemption. Where does this idea come from that, a woman who's pregnant says, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to bring this child up. You don't have to in our society. That's the point. You don't have to. In fact, I personally believe the law should be amended to allow childless couples to sponsor pregnant women like this. They should, at the moment it's against the law. You can't go up to a woman who's pregnant and saying, "Oh God, I'm pregnant. I don't want to be. I need to have an abortion." If you're a childless couple, you can't go up to them and say, "Look, here's £2,000. Go through the pregnancy and have this baby. We'll take it off your hands." Right? That's against the law. That's technically human trafficking, according to the law. Now, I personally think the law should be amended to allow that to happen. The childless couples should be allowed to sponsor a pregnant woman if they want. That would reduce the number of abortions enormously, and it would reduce a lot of the stress that women who have unwanted pregnancies suffer. Charles carries on. Whilst birth control isn't great, it's not always 100% effective, and if you don't want as many people moving around the globe, then I assume you'd be in favour of more abortions being performed, as it prevents those lives from coming into existence in the first place. That is a horrible thing to say, David, and it's absolutely untrue. If you think I don't want, I oppose mass immigration, therefore I want people to be killed instead of coming here, no, that's a misrepresentation of me, and it's beneath you. No birth control is completely 100% effective, but there are ones which vary that are 99.99% plus. Particularly, I mean, it's actually permanent sterilisation is probably the best option. If you really, really don't want to have children, it's tubal ligation and vasectomy. These things are 99.99% plus effective. There are all kinds of ways and means you can reduce the risk as much as possible in terms of birth control. I mean, it's not 100% effective, I know it's not, but if you say, well, if it slips up, we kill the baby, is wrong, I think. When you consider there's so many other options, which I've just described. Like I said, I think if in those circumstances, like when you're using birth control properly and there's a cock up and the woman gets pregnant, let a childless couple sponsor her. JV carries on. And why is it important for mothers to go through with their birth, but then reject them fleeing war and poverty? I'm not rejecting people fleeing war and poverty. I support charities which provide aid to people in their own countries. I'm just saying they should be. I'm not just saying the answer to people fleeing war and poverty is not to uproot them, ship them halfway across the world, and dump them in a little village in Wales. That's my only objection. Again, why are you comparing these two things? David says, I think you call it some kind of conspiracy about the New World Order forcing them to take over from white people. No. As I have explained in other videos, I think that it's about destroying the current nation-state system. And that inevitably means undermining any indigenous culture or people in any country. It inevitably involves that. But it's not because... You see, this is where I think the distant right get it wrong, because they say things... I say, well, why are they attacking white people? They just don't like white people. Well, that doesn't make sense. Why don't they like white people? Oh, they just don't like white people. No. There's more going on than that. So what you're saying here is nothing I've ever said. David says, it doesn't make sense. You want them to be born, but you don't want them to enjoy the same rights and privileges as you do. I don't want them to be born and enjoy this. What do you mean? I do want them to be born, and I would like them to enjoy the same quality of life as I do in this country. I'd like to see the world all across the globe have a high quality of life. Have you seen my History of Exopolitics video? Have you not seen it? There's several versions of it. I described this in great detail, David. Or you want them to just not in your country. Correct. I don't object to people moving voluntarily from one place to another. What I object to is them being chivied and chased into taking part in basically an anti-national agenda. That's what I'm objecting to. Did you have to jump through the same hoops and fight the same struggles, war, inequality levels as they have in order to enjoy what you may take for granted? I was a hospital porter for 23 years, David. Yes, I did. But again, you're not making any sense here. You're really not making any sense at all. You're suggesting that I am attacking. I'm expressing hostility for people around the world, and I want to put a wall around my country and hate everyone outside it. You're misrepresenting me very badly here, David. I suggest you either provide some quotes where I have expressed this kind of hostility, or you'll back down and admit you were wrong. It feels like you're using a pull yourself up by your bootstraps type argument. One of your first videos was you talking about people on benefits. It seems your views must have changed a lot since then. No. Which video do you mean? My views have changed on some things, but which video do you mean? If you mean my Scroungers videos, I haven't changed my opinion about that. I am against people being forced into slave labour, if that's what you mean. Please, could you be more specific? Minster Lovell, hey. This is a lovely old video, this is. Alright. P. Hart says, this is someone I don't recognise, a name I don't recognise. I think we've become more social, no, just a moment, in a remote sense. In a remote sense due to social media and technology, but have less face-to-face contact these days. Yeah, that's true. When I was little, we didn't even have a phone, so if we wanted to see my friends, I had to walk over. We didn't chat from our own isolated little pods. I know the man in the flat below only because we had an argument about the noise from his flat. Apart from that, none of us meet to chat up or chat in my block. Yeah, P. Hart, it's the same with me. I live in a block of flats. There's 3 flats. I know the name of the guy above me because he keeps playing the piano. I don't know anyone. I don't know the guy on the top floor. I'm on the ground floor. I don't know anyone else in any of the other blocks around me. There's like about 5 of them on the street. I don't know any of them. I know various people across town very well. Neighbours don't befriend each other. I used to know that personally. Every person in my street, we all had the same lock on our doors. If anyone got locked out, we could borrow the back door key off a neighbour. Yeah, my grandmother used to tell me this. I mean, she was born in 1911, and her life was, by today's standards, one of abject poverty. That's the only way to describe it. She said people generally were more content. They were generally more content when she was a young girl, because, like you say, it was very similar. She knew everyone in the street. All the boys used to work down the local factory. All the girls used to marry the boys. Local boys, things like that. Okay, we have a reply to comments 25, part 1 of 2. The lights were low. Hi Ben, I know this is an old vid answers. This is an old vid answers, but interesting that the people taking part almost totally changed compared to those participating in more recent posts. Just saying. I suppose I've not checked the comments on those old videos, but I mean there are characters I remember from the past who have gone now. They've just people. You remember Doffler? Oh, Doffler. Doffler used to be the first person to post on every one of my videos. A Roaring Water Bay. Oh, can I have your hat, Ben? Yeah. And it's now new people come and go out of my life, yeah, including some people will kind of they'll post for a while, then move on. Others stick with me. You know, others do stick with me. Okay. Charles. Oh, Charles, this is a very long comment you've got here. Charles, before I start, Ben, I want to make clear I'm not intentionally. All right, you've already posted this, Charles, and this is all stuff you've posted before. Actually, this is 2 weeks ago. All right, this is your posting. This is all things that you've posted. This was on your Facebook page about Charles of Project Camelot, wasn't it? Oh, bloody! Hang on a second. Instead, I wanted you to understand you had sufficient grounds for condemning Charles of Project Camelot without the need for a tribunal. Okay. I asked if you joined me in condemning him, and I said no, I won't. I wanted you to know if you didn't condemn him, it amounted to disrespect towards you, me, and Gary Heseltine and UFO Truth magazine. All right, I'm not reading the rest of this. You've already made this point, Charles. Charles Scott, you've said this before, and I've already said it, and you say no tribunal is needed. So would you go into court? If you were in court, would you be happy with a judge coming in and saying, bring in the prosecution? Okay, let's hear the prosecution case. Could the defence barrister step out, please? We don't need a defence case here. We're going to listen to the prosecution, and then I'm going to ask the jury to consider their verdict. Would you go along with that? And if you object, they say, hang on, but there's no need for a defence case. There's no need because I say so. Is that legally tenable, Charles? Oh, yeah. Hey, okay, this. I think I don't think you posted this before. Beyond reasonable doubt. In conclusion, you said you'd condemn Charles from Project Camelot if sufficient evidence proved my testimony true, but in reality, you did not want to condemn him, despite my testimony was proven true, because you changed the goalpost by lying, by giving misleading information. A tribunal and his side of the story was still required, both of which were unnecessary in order to condemn Charles from Project Camelot. I don't agree. I don't agree. You are being manipulative, Charles Scott. You are basically saying here you've had an argument with Charles from Project Camelot, and you want me to take his side. I'm not going to do that. Look, if you want to fall out with me over this, go ahead. But I tell you what the argument you have is between you and him. As for the objective accusations you've made against him, I believe that warrants a tribunal. And you saying, "Oh, a tribunal is not necessary." Why? Why is a tribunal not necessary? If you're so sure he was guilty, you'd go along with it. You'd give him a chance to say his part in court. Charles says underneath here, temporary unblocked because I just had to see this to believe it. 2 words, just 2 words. Absolute rubbish. That's a great mumblingism, that is. Yes, we all get it. You want Ben to block me from his channel. Even if he did, that wouldn't do you any good because Agent Rin has already bagged him, so suck it up and move on. You've never lost a man like Bill Ryan, so anything you say is automatically null and void. Get some dignity, man, and the dash of pride to go with it. See, wouldn't want to be, guess which button I'm going to press now. Okay. Well, you know, it sounds like Charles Scott, I'm afraid this is. I've read your Facebook post on this, and to be honest, I read it and I thought this does require a defence case from Charles. I do believe what you posted on Facebook, all this evidence you got against Charles, requires a serious defence from Charles. It involved a lot of things that I didn't completely understand. I believe a court case, a tribunal would sort those things out. And you're now saying a tribunal is not necessary because you say so. Not good enough, Charles Scott. Not good enough. Movies, a hospital porter reacts. A new video. Welsh Ripper says, Hi, Welsh Ripper. How are you? Hope your uncle's all right. Welsh Ripper, an American werewolf in London. Me, about 9 years old. I saw it when I was too young too, Ripper. And I'll tell you what, it's hilarious, man. I didn't really laugh at it when I was a kid, but I do now. It's very tongue-in-cheek. Diego Rivera says on the same video, would you wear a pointy ears? Can you do the Spock sign? The Spock sign I can do. Live long and prosper, Diego Rivera. Apparently it's Kabbalistic. It's something that Nimoy saw when he was a kid. Jock Case says Quatermass and the Pit. Yeah, that's very good, that is. That's really good. Francesca Gaby says, wrong. Oh, there's a link here. I've got a feeling that is something. What's this? Oh, right. I'm not going to... It's been rejected by my antivirus. Francesca, I think you are a spammer. So, goodbye. Here we go. This is greeting. This is I put up a community notice, and I've got some responses here. See how we were living said, "See you on KBS Discord tonight. Thanks. See how you were living." And Steve O'Sonny said, "Ben the gamer." Yes, because I put up a gaming video, and I thought I'd mention it because I do discuss the Tic Tacs. Here we go. Okay, so I've got a couple of other comments on it. I might as well do them now. Longsight M12 says, "What happened with Mindset Central?" Longsight, Gareth passed away. I'm sorry, he died. Didn't you know? I'm sorry to hear that. Vrillon Aura said, "Very cool sub simulation. I used to play Sub Attack on the Amiga when I was younger." Oh, those were the days. Oh, there were some great games which were really, they didn't have any really bad. You know, by today's standards, they were just like so primitive. But they were just such good fun. They were such good fun. Okay. Movies, a hospital report review. Murchie says, "Happy birthday, Ben." Oh, thanks, Murchie. Much appreciated. Steve071 said, "Happy birthday and a wonderful St. Theo's Day, Ben." Oh, thanks, Steve. It's a little bit belated or a little bit early. You could be saying, wishing me happy St. Theo's Day for next year. So thank you either way. Thank you very much. Same video, nothing as it seems says, "Larissa, the artist, has nothing to do with your post. I just dig this girl." Oh, who's this? This is a YouTube link here. Oh, this is Lebanon, Hanover, Live Paris. Playing filmed by, this is Valerian de Justice Music Flex. All right, I don't have time to. It's a rock concert. I don't have time to watch that now. But thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'll check that out. Nothing. Movies, a hospital porter reacts. Charles from Project Camelot says, "Indeed, a happy day, having one more year of Ben. So happy birthday. May it be proud and dignified." Thanks, Charles. On the other hand, what's this? Our Ben is getting old with those grey whiskers and crow's feet. Moisturise, Ben, moisturise. You get a love heart for that. I will do my best, Charles, but it happens to us all. I do actually have moisturiser. I do use moisturiser. The Bill, on the same video, Movies, a hospital porter reacts. The Bill 9999 says, "Happy birthday, Ben." Thanks very much, Bill. Same video, Jock of Ages says, "Happy birthday, Ben, and a happy St. Theo's Day." Oh, another person gets St. Theo's Day is June the 1st, but thank you very much, Jock of Ages. He carries on. Davros from Doctor Who and Rod Hull and Emu scared me a bit as kids. More Emu, to be fair. I didn't mind Rod. Halloween, the first one, was hands over your eyes. Scary, especially with John Carpenter's eerie music and Jason's emotional face mask. Event Horizon was very surreal, scary. I thought the director's cut was more gruesome. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. All right, Event, I'll try that. I've heard of Halloween. I've heard of. I didn't know it was a John Carpenter film. I'll probably watch it because he was very good. Do you know what? I was scared of Emu when I was really little too. I just thought he was really. I don't know what it was, but I was frightened of Emu. I must have been really little, Barmy Refridge says on my community notice, "What's your Twitch name?" And it's Ben the JR Porter, same as this one. That's basically talking about I'll check if there's any comments on that video on Twitch because it's about. In fact, I don't know when the bloody thing gets deleted. It's only, I think it's 2 weeks I get with it. I did a video about her panware stuff. I've actually uploaded it to my other alt tech sites, not YouTube, but my alt tech sites anyway. Also, so Twitch is all full of ads and stuff. It's so bloody loaded with ads. It really is. Videos. Oh, there are two. Oh, there's only two. Oh, there's only two. Oh, what happened to Connecticut? Oh, the Connecticut one's gone. Okay. It's run out. No worries. I'll check the other one. I'll check the other one anyway. Right. Movies a hospital porter reacts. Gary Robinson says, "Happy birthday, Ben." Thanks, Gary. Speaking of films, did you hear the news that the new Indiana Jones movie has been shut down? Apparently Disney got word of the woke agenda that was at play, in which Indy was going to be erased from history, leaving his female replacement to relive his original adventures for the first 3 movies. That's the end of that hour. Whilst on the subject of woke, I received exciting news a few weeks ago that one of my tunes was going to be featured in the new movie Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The next day I heard rumours that the scene featuring my track would be Venom's coming out party. Needless to say, pride and dignity, brother. Thanks, Gary. You'll get a love heart for that. And I didn't hear that about Indiana Jones, but I mean, if they really were going to make it that bad, I'm glad they bloody cancelled it. I think they are actually starting to feel the pressure now from the shareholders. At the end of the day, you know, these they can't just keep making movies and putting all these woke themes in them and just pushing them through in the hope that somehow it'll work, and then they're seen by 3 idiots in a cinema with 100 empty seats. Well, if that happens, it's going to prevent them making any more movies because they're going to run out of money. The shareholders are going to get annoyed. And so I think they're now realising that they have actually to find ways of getting more and more people in the cinema. The cinematic audience do not like woke movies. It's a fact. Anyway, that's the end of that hour, guys. Back shortly. Okay, welcome to hour 2, guys. I just want to go back on something that I've thought of. It's going back to the argument between Charles Scott and Charles of Project Camelot. This sort of thing has happened before. I mean, I actually wasn't there at the time, but in one of Ian R. Crane's, the late great Ian R. Crane, in one of the alternative view conferences he organised, there was a really distressing situation once. A guy turned up to talk about chemtrails. I won't name names here. A guy turned up to talk about chemtrails, and he was about to go up. He was literally about to go up on stage, and he turns to Ian and he says, "I'm afraid I'm not speaking." Ian said, "What?" Because Ian's just spent a lot of money bringing this guy from where he lives, putting him up in the hotel, and then he announces before he's about to go on, feeding him, buying him dinner and stuff like that, and he's about to go up on stage, and he says, "I'm not going to speak. I'm not going out there to speak." And Ian says, "Why not?" And he says, "Because this person," he mentions another name of another chemtrail researcher, "that person is in the audience." So that's the level. Is that really the level we're going to descend to? I mean, I would never ever behave like that. Never. I mean, if I'm speaking somewhere and Andrew Johnson's in the audience, I don't care. I don't care if Andrew Johnson's also speaking at the conference. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Anyway. And people say no tribunal. Oh, you must be joking. Of course, there's a need for a tribunal. Gary Robinson says here, "When I was a kid, I was traumatized by the microwave scene in the Gremlins." God, yeah, that's pretty gruesome, isn't it? I still can't watch it, haha. I was also terrified of the final scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which also happens to be one of my favourite movies. Yeah, that was one of the ones I mentioned, Gary. I could watch it now, and it's quite cool, but the ending is extremely grisly and very graphic. The way the Germans are killed. They literally disintegrate alive in front of you. It's very, very horrible. For a film with a PG certificate, I think that's quite extreme. But I mean, it's funny, you get films like I think are under-certificated quite a bit. They're very often, I think they get their certificates for convenience rather than for content. There's a film called Lovely Bones, which is actually a very good film. But it's about a serial killer who targets children. And when he kills a young girl, there's a very horrible scene just after that, in which she's in a bath and there's blood everywhere. It's a bloody PG certificate film. Anyway, Gary carries on. I recently listened to a talk with Chris Gore from Film Threat, in which he quite rightly describes Raiders of the Lost Ark as a perfect movie. You're right. It's a good movie. Perfect. I don't think there is such thing as perfection. There are very good films, excellent ones. I mean, I think Cloud Atlas is probably my favourite film. That's as near to perfect as you're going to get. But even that has flaws. You know, it's not. He carries on. You're right about the effects in Star Trek as well, mate. There are a lot of classic films such as The Wizard of Oz or E.T., Jaws, Alien, and The Empire Strikes Back, which had a perfect special effects that cannot be reproduced with CGI. During the production of The Mandalorian, the CG artists at Lucasfilm embarked on a project to study the motion capture footage from the original Star Wars movie in order to try and replicate the look and feel of those original effects in today's CGI. And I'm guessing that's why the effects in The Mandalorian look so good. That's interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, the stop motion models and sculptures in the original Star Wars trilogy, which do look better than for example, the prequel trilogies, and even the third trilogy, they're actually. I do think that it's good that in The Mandalorian they actually try simply to reproduce those. In other words, they're reproducing an effect which is technically inferior in order to make it look better. It's interesting because you get like the grainy image on film. They like on traditional film. A lot of the digitally filmed movies these days have that grain put on them deliberately. They have the grain put on them. I know that they did that. They re-edited the Hobbit to put that grain on the film because that was what was missing from when it went on the cinema. And to be honest, it's funny. I missed it. I missed seeing those little blips you get on the films with it's just grain that comes with films all the time. And they are now actually putting those on digitally shot movies. Really, we are, as a people, we're the kind of people who do enjoy the charm of imperfection. We really are. And this is why sci-fi fans in particular are incredibly conservative and sentimental people. This is why if they ever start like bring out Blake 7 and they get rid of all the wobbly walls and the cardboard cutouts and things like that, the fans will go nuts. They really will. They will absolutely hit the roof. Gary Carey. Anyway, I'm not going to rant on. I'll digress too much. Gary Robinson also says on the same video, Tootsie's a really great movie, Ben. However, the point of the movie is that he finally lands an acting job because he disguises himself as someone else. The love story is really just a sideline, and of course, she dumps in the end. Or maybe that's him that dumps her. I can't quite remember. Well, it's a bit embarrassing because they pretend to be like BFFs. With Jessica Lange's character thinks he's a woman, a bit older than her, and she starts to see her as a kind of mother figure. That is Dorothy, the female alter ego. Then one day he sort of makes a pass at her, and then he has to explain why she thinks she's a lesbian, and then she decides not to speak to her anymore. She says she's very sorry, but she's very upset about it, but she can't see her anymore. She says, "I love you, Dorothy, but I can't love you." And then I won't spoil it for you. The ending of the film is fantastic, but it is a very touching and poignant element that he can't really do anything unless he pretends to be someone else. This guy Michael Dorsey, Dustin Hoffman's character, and he finds when he is someone else, pretending to be someone else, he finds true love as somebody else. As he says to her at the end in the very last scene, he says to her, "I was a better man as a woman with you than I've ever been with any other woman as a man." It's a great line, that is. It's a brilliant script. It's a really good movie. It's like I say, I think it's my second or my third favourite romantic comedy. Gary says here on the same video, "Hey Ben, Paul Verhoeven never really made it that big in Hollywood, despite the handful of cult classics that he directed. He got a job directing RoboCop simply because Orion Pictures couldn't secure another director, and he had recently filmed a movie for them in Europe, which turned out to be a big budget flop. After Showgirls and Starship Troopers, he went back to making movies in Europe. A music producer colleague of mine happens to be the nephew of his biographer." Cheers. All right, well, Gary, that's interesting. Because I actually started watching some of his earlier Dutch movies. There's one, and you could see his style straight away. What's it called? Oh, De Vierde Man. Hang on. I think it's called De Vierde Man. Yeah. because he started feature films. Where is it? It's a film he made in the 80s, 1983, The Fourth Man, or De Vierde Man. And it's a Dutch language movie. It's a psychological kind of violence splatterpunk movie. And it's really you see his style in it though, the dark humour, the rather extreme violence and things like that, which is so over the top. It's kind of unintentional comedy. You see all the style in this particular film. You see in RoboCop, you see in Starship Troopers, you see in other movies and that. It's actually a really good, and Total Recall. It's great. I mean, if you can't speak Dutch, don't worry. You can get it subtitled. My Dutch is so rusty, I'd probably need that anyway. Like I say, I've lost, as you know from my family sadness film, I've lost touch with my Dutch relatives. Movies, A Hospital Porter reacts. Hey, Louis James says, hey Ben, great stream of always, loving the regular content. Thank you, Louis. I'll try to make it as regular as I can. Oh, this is UK Probe. You know what I've done? I didn't start the bloody timer. How long have I been going for? I don't know. I'll guess 10 minutes. All right. Oh yeah, bloody hell, about 50. I'm guessing a guess 10 minutes. Hang on. 50 minutes. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to start the timer. This might not be completely accurate. I was probably going to go on to a third hour. UK Probe 10. Right, this is a really old one. This is what year? What probe was this? Hang on, what probe conference was this? This is, where is it? Hang on, you can see it on YouTube. Oh, this is the 2011 one.
Well, hello.
This is a 2011 one, man. Oh, wicked. Tommy Time Television says, I love the old probe videos. I made my YouTube playlist of just your probe documentaries. There's a sense of adventure that seems so calm, euphoric and jubilant. Oh, thank you, Tommy Time Television. You've made a playlist of my probes. Oh, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. Thank you. That's a really old 2011 probe conference, yeah. I started doing videos, I think, 2010 of the probes. I don't know. Tommy says also on the same video, you know, we have uncanny similarities. Our life history, Ben. My mum is Dutch, my dad is Welsh. I lived in Holland from 1991 to 98, and we both got sacked from our jobs with similarities. Mine was working the bins in Chester, which keeps you fit. I was talking about New World Order a lot back then. It was the council I was working for. They didn't like NWO speak and sacked me on using a different excuse that wasn't to do with council-induced psychosis. The occupational health had formed a mafia with the bosses. I got sacked on April the 24th, 2012, about 2 years before I subscribed to Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Oh, Tommy. And funny enough, you got sacked from your job 4 months after me. Hey, Tommy, that's uncanny, that is. That really is. Yeah. But I'm sorry you went through this as well. It's another one to add to the list, along with Gary Hazeltine, along with Miles Johnston, along with Kevin Annett. Yeah. But thank you very much for your lovely comments there. This is Movies at Hospital Porter Reacts. And Tommy Time Television says, happy birthday, Ben. Thanks, Tommy. I had a lovely birthday this year. I really did. Same video. Tommy says, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. When Auntie dies, the first moment of complete loss. I was praying he had a chance in that fight. It was quite brutal, sudden death as well. You know, I've not seen that, but a lot of people talk about it. I like Rick Moranis. I think he's very clever. Tommy says on the same video, I haven't really got any romantic comedies in my genres. Probably Look Who's Talking is a big one. Or Rocky when he shouts, Adrian did it. Adrian, I did it at the end. Yeah, Rocky's not really a romantic comedy. But Look Who's Talking, I've not seen that one. Same video, Tommy says, the scariest thing I've ever watched on TV ever is Crime Watch. A mum of 3 children is doing the dishes at 9:30 p.m.-ish with a gap in the curtain and giant eye is peering through, staring at her. The mum, dad and 3 children subjected to a few nights and days of torment. The phone lines are cut. It's just horrible. at the end, the presenters used to reassure the viewers that the incident is extremely rare and do not have nightmares. At 40 years of age, when tiptoeing in the kitchen at night, I still check for gaps in the curtain and an eye peering through. Oh, those reconstructions were really quite horrible, weren't they, Tommy? I remember that. There was one that really upset me. It was an old lady who got killed, and it was actually one I'm researching at the moment because she had links to MI5. It's quite a famous case. I'll probably make a video about it in the future. But she was killed it's very strange how she was killed. The person that was arrested and jailed is probably not the one who did it. Oh, but it was horrible because like she was basically captured in her own home and tortured and things like that. It was evil, which is typical of the government, what they do to people. Movies, a hospital porter reacts. Woody Black. Hi, Woody. I've never found movies scary, really, but some are really gross. So, two really gross bits from films that stick with me are The Fly, when Jeff Goldblum pukes on the donuts, and the one of the Freddy movies where his fingers turn into syringes and his victim's body get all gross ulcers all over it, minging. Yeah, that's what you call a body horror, where there's a lot of like really, where you get a lot of like very graphic, injury and stuff like that. Woody continues on another comment on the same video. In terms of romantic comedies, I'm not a fan of them generally, but I do like Woody Allen movies. Everyone Say I Love You is a romantic musical comedy that I really liked. I believe it's Woody Allen's only musical. All right, I've never seen that. Woody Allen, I like Woody Allen. Yeah, he's most of his films are really good. I thought Everything You Want to Know about Sex, but Were Afraid to Ask, I think is rather childish. It's something like an adolescent romp. It's like Porky's, but without the wit. I didn't like it at all. But his other movies I've all liked. Movies a hospital porter reacts. Richard Kinzet says, Threads 1984 left a lifelong horror of nuclear war. Yeah, I saw that, and it's certainly not my favourite film. It's one that I probably couldn't watch again. I've only watched it twice. The once when I was 13 bloody years old, they showed it to me in school. And for goodness sake, what the hell? How can they? How dare they? I mean, it's. I've talked about this on a previous video. I think it was meant to herald the end of the Cold War, because it was around that time when they had one called The Day After in the United States. I think it was around that time that they wanted to wind the Cold War up. The Rockefeller Foundation got Gorbachev into the Soviet presidency for that. I don't think they intended the Soviet Union to fall, though. That was unintentional, but they did want the Cold War to end. Vrillon Aura, I've already replied to that comment. Movies, a hospital porter reacts. Dark Corners UK says happy birthday, Ben. Thank you, Dark Corners. Much appreciated. Reply to comments 48. Charles from Project Camelot says, my informants are everywhere. How long is that rambling lunatic Charles Scott going to keep spruiking pages of absolute rubbish that would insult the IQ of a carrot? Yeah, Charles is Steve mumbling. Oh, now I know. Endlessly repeating the same drivel will not change the fact that he fell for a sting. So get a grip, Charles Scott, and at least try to pretend you have an IQ larger than your shoe size. Yeah. Movies, a hospital porter reacts. Hugo Rune. Happy birthday, Ben. Thanks, Hugo. I'm not a film buff myself, but I'm interested to see what you pick. Books I'm more interested in. Yeah, I actually did a video all about my books on my shelf. My favourite, getting a favourite one is difficult. Johnny Liqueur. Hello, Johnny Liqueur. Are you Drambuie or are you Courvoisier? Movies, a hospital porter reacts. Lost in Translation, White Heat, Local Hero. All right, I've never seen White Heat, but I love the other two. Lost in Translation is fantastic, and Local Hero. They're actually both quite similar in a way. They're both kind of like very subtle kind of feel-good movies. Lost in Translation is about Bill Murray plays this. It's one of his other serious movies, but it has its funny elements too. He plays this middle-aged guy in Japan. He's on a working trip, and he's very lonely. And he forms a friendship with a young woman who is there with her husband, who's a photographer, and she's very isolated too. And they become, they're not platonic friends. I mean, they do fancy each other, but it's they don't ever actually consummate their relationship. They don't actually cheat on their respective partners, but they become very close. And it's a film full of humanity. Local Hero, the same. Local Hero is weird because it doesn't really have much of a plot. It's about this American guy who goes to this Scottish village, and the plot is he has to turn it into an oil refinery. And all the people. What was that? Something made a weird noise. I think that's Twitch. Don't worry, ignore it. The local people are quite keen. They're quite keen to sell their village to these developers. But and what happens is he goes from one sort of funny, sort of slapstick comedy sketch to the next. There's no real coherence before them. There's no real plot to them, and he becomes very fond of this village, and he begins to question very much the morality of what he's doing. It's a great movie. I won't spoil the ending for you because Burt Lancaster is in it. It's really good. And John Le Cure says Local Hero. Yeah, it's Local Hero is really good. It's a Scottish film actually from the 80s. It's very good. Johnny also says here on the same video, all the Hammer House of Horror scared the bejesus out of me. Oh, they did me. But the Two Faces of Evil was really, really scary. Johnny May says on Movies or Hospital Porter Reacts, isn't the Star Trek story a bit from the Philadelphia Experiment? Well, it's like that, isn't it? I mean, the stories that come out the Philadelphia Experiment with the teleportation and that, it could be that it was inspired by that, yeah. Charles Scott says here, on reply to comments 48. All right, after reading Crackpot Charles from Project Camelot's comments below, which I've replied using brackets. Okay, I understand. Now I understand your punctuation. I'll be at a better... I think I'm at a better way of understanding it. I'm now at the stage where, Ben, I feel I can dismiss you saying it is rhetoric to call him crackpot, especially when I have to question the validity of anything you say. My informants are everywhere. This is I think Charles quoting. Sounds delusional to me. No, all right. Look, you're now quoting Charles's previous comment, Charles Scott. His previous comment was meant to be funny. It's a joke. He's actually impersonating Steve Mumbling. Okay. Please don't. I don't really see why. I'm not going to read your analysis of what he's just said, Charles, because it's just a joke. He's having a laugh. He really is. Right, Rachel's Eyes book review. This is an old one. Lyndon Moulton Howe was talking about this book on Jimmy Church last night. Oh, right. It's still making the rounds, isn't it? I thought I'd do a search to see if there's any more info. I must get hold of a copy. It sounds like a good read. It is, Jock. It's still in print. You can find it. Someone underneath says called Popsicle Ocean says go Buckley Fuckley. I don't know what that means. But I like Linda Moulton Howe. I'll listen to her show with Jimmy Church. It's a fascinating book. It's still in print. You can get a copy. Now, I've had missing time. This is a new video. I've got an update for you there, by the way. I've got a bit of an update. I have... Okay. Charles says, well, you're getting older, so it will happen more often. I'm not putting dye on my whisker. For size, I shave quite clearly, but what, you know. Ed Kaler says, what, peeing in the bush? Yes, Ed. Come on, have you never done that? It's all right, let's just into bloody some bushes. What's the harm? David Smith says, I time-travelled last night. I went out for a few beers, came back, then something made me black out. I woke up 8 hours later. No idea what happened. Prove I wasn't abducted, and I had my memory erased, as that's the most likely explanation. Well, David, you know, I understand your sarcasm, but, you know, that did happen to me a few times when I was a hospital porter. You know, 2 to 10 finishes in the staff accommodation or home in my case. Get changed, get out on the town. You know, when A shifter out and about, lock up your daughters and get the beer out. You know, and yeah, I used to come home and black out and wake up and wonder what the hell happened. Yes, that is something that I think a lot of people have experienced, especially if you happen to be on JRH A shift general side. But that doesn't explain. That certainly doesn't. It's nothing to do with what happened to me. Charles, have you still got your internal organs? Charles, my external ones are all in place. I can assure you. I didn't have any marks on my body. As for what went on inside me, I've got no idea. I mean, if they managed to get some out of me without leaving any scars, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I could do to prevent that or find out where do I have. I need to be scanned at the hospital. Charles said to Ed Kaler, this must be the first time I've ever seen someone going on camera talking about peeing in a bush. Charles, I don't normally do it. I don't normally talk about it. It's just it is relevant in this case. Charles says to someone called the Unwanted Ginger Lego, whom I can't see for some reason, it seems like a very cold day, though. Makes you proud to be British. Well, I can't see this person, Charles. It's one of these weird situations where you can't see people. All right, so now we're on the same video. Steve071 said, did you finish the previous job later than you normally do, but didn't make a point of taking notice at the time? No, I finished at 3:15. Charles said, no, I had to wipe his memory. He was doing a job all right, but not the one he's thinking of. I threw a guy I didn't like out of a skyscraper window. It's what you call a screen memory. Baboontish. So that's Greg Olson. What's his name? Olson. You were behind that, Charles. Was I the one who did Olson, who threw him out that window? I might have known you were behind it. Steve071. So it was a tall order then, but I'll let myself out. Charles says, yes, it was. He doesn't understand the gravity of what he did, but boom. Steve071 said, I guess Ben introduced him to the flat earth. Charles, the news was all over the street. Steve, Charles, I give up. You've wiped the floor with me. Charles, that's why I had Ben take the fall for it. Charles, pride and dignity. Steve says to Charles, pride and dignity. Keep Ben on the right path. Charles, that's what Agent Rin is for. Nice one, guys. Great banter. I've got an update actually, because what I've done is I actually wrote under this under the this is it. It's getting the details up. Yeah. I went into Tesco's and asked them about CCTV footage. They said they don't handle that. It's head office. So I've written to the head office under the Data Protection Act, and there's this page here on gov.uk that gives you instructions on how to do it, and there's also the Information Commissioner's Office. So I sent them an email on Monday. We'll have to see what happens. Have to see what happens as a result of that. But hopefully there will be some CCTV footage of me going in and out of the shop, and you'll know what time I enter the shop. I've had missing time. Cat Squatch says, blimey, mate, I'd be really trouble if that happened to me. I once woke up downstairs sitting on the sofa after going to bed to sleep. I've never been a sleepwalker. Oh, that's worrying, Cat Squatch, yeah. I am concerned. I mean, I'm not that... It hasn't happened since, you see, and I've sort of like... I think, well, I'll leave it for now, see if it happens again. But things ain't too bad, you know. Like I said, I don't... Since then, my life's been normal. It's like the thing with the implant in my arm. I kind of... If I don't have any other information about it, and though it unnerved me at the time, I'm kind of just thinking, well, I can't remember what happened. I don't know what it is. Everything's been normal since then, and I'm hoping it just stays normal. Ed says, what do you think happened? Cat Squatch says, no idea, mate, but I was very confused. I hadn't been drinking or drugging or anything like that. Zero memory of getting there. Ed Kaler says, it was obviously random sleepwalking. Imagine if you'd killed someone. That would not have been your fault, and nobody would believe you. Cat Squatch says, yeah, never ever sleepwalked before that night, never since, weird. And it was a little old cottage with dangerous tiny stairs in the dark. Cat Squatch, that is worrying. It's actually more worrying, I think, than what happened to me. I understand why you're a bit unnerved by that, and I'm glad it hasn't happened since. I am. Denise Moore says, happy belated birthday. Hope you had a great day, Ben. Thank you, Denise. Much appreciated. That's on Movies, A Hospital Porter Reacts. Missing time again. Ian Gosling, how are you sure of what time you started the job? because I literally leave a guy's house at 3:15 in the afternoon. I walk to the supermarket, which takes it's 15 minutes or something like that. It's just literally around the corner and down the street. Then I go into the shop. I know how long it takes me. I know how long it takes me to come out. I know what time I normally get to the destination at the end of the job, which is a lady's house. I normally get there by 4 p.m. This time I got there at 4:43 p.m. Just to see, so I am absolutely certain of the timing here. I mean, if you want me to sort of like accept the fact that I might have made some mistakes, it could have been as little as 30 minutes. It could have been as much as 55 minutes. My guess is 45. 45 minutes, I guess, but I can't be sure. Hopefully, when I get some CCTV footage of myself, we'll know more. I've had missing time. HQCom65 says, "Hi Ben, that's strange. I had an abduction experience last night. I have been an abductee all my life. I'm now 56. I woke up about 2 a.m. by a bright light in my eyes, then felt what was like jelly enveloping my body. The next thing I was aware of was a feeling of crashing to my bed. I looked at the clock. It's 3:33 a.m. I felt knackered all day as if I'd been drained. I have no memory of what happened in that time. Sometimes I will recall what happened later on. Maybe this will happen to you. I'm in Somerset and an ex-theatre porter. I trained to be an ODP. Hey! Pride and dignity, Brother Porter! Although you trained to be an ODP. Well, nobody's perfect. It's HQ Comms. I hope you enjoy the civilian life. But anyway, what you described there, Brother Porter, it's rather like what Betty and Barney Hill experienced. And if memory comes back, let us know. But there is the option of hypnotic regression, which it's up to you whether you go along with that track or not. I think it has some value myself. I'm not. Obviously, the idea would be for me to use it. I'm not sure. It's not something you would enter into lightly. Ed Kaler says weird as a reply to HQCom65. I've had missing time. Michelle Sovereign said, "This is concerning, Ben. I hope you're all right." Thanks, Michelle. I am. I'm literally since that day, more than 2 weeks ago. Everything's been normal. Everything's been normal. I've had no more missing time. Nothing else weird has happened to me. I did actually meet up with a guy last week and we had a discussion about it. A guy who's an expert on this sort of thing. I've applied to get some CCTV footage and that's all I can really do. Dr. Respect says on missing time. Just out of interest, have you had the magic juice? What's that? Some people who have had the juice have been in mid-conversation with another person and just froze mid-conversation. Also, some have been seen frozen standing still and not moving, blinking in the middle of the street, train stations, public buildings. You can watch footage of these online that people have taken video phone footage, so it's not from just one source. Also, a lot of kids being born are being reported with totally black eyes like the classic greys. Oh, right, well, Dr. Respect, I've actually seen the frozen people, the living statues. I've seen them on video. Yes, I'll tell you what, The Darkest Secret has got a couple of videos about that. Very weird indeed. They're literally in the middle of the street just like that. They're not even blinking. They're just literally just standing there like they're statues. The kids being born with totally black eyes. That sounds very scary indeed. I've not heard of that, no. Missing time Project Camelot. I think I know what happened to Ben. You did it, didn't you, Charles? Or Agent Rin did it. No. Freeze frame the video when he turns his head. Dracula got him. Oh, God. Oh, have I got marks on my neck? Oh, blimey. Missing time. Armand Adams. Very strange, Ben. I hope you can figure out what happened during your missing time. Did you see UV light? Did you see UV light all over your body? Take care, bro. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. Oh, you're welcome, Armand. Thank you very much. I checked my body for marks. I've not done anything since then. I had no marks. Still got no memory of what happened. Still none. Tina Silver says on missing time, a psychopath. On Monday we had a blood red sky at dawn, the reddest I've ever seen. Then on Wednesday morning there was a golden sky at dawn. Never seen anything like it. I haven't noticed, Tina, but I maybe can't see things. You see things differently from where you are. However, It could be to do with the chemtrails. I don't know. Ed Kaler says, weird, same here. David Smith says, yeah, I noticed the sky was the reddest, pinkest. I've seen it on Monday morning. It's due to the recent mild weather, which is unusual for this time of year. And, of course, clouds are required to make that much better. Thanks, climate change. Well, you know what I think of climate change, David. But, yeah, I've not noticed it. It could be to the recent mild weather. Yeah, we've had... It's been quite... Until today. Today was actually quite chilly. But up till now, we've had, like, really quite high temperatures for the time of year. And it's been quite wet. Maybe that's a part of it, yeah. Missing time, Wayne, RS4. Most of us only watch YouTube. Maybe start posting your blogs on here. Just a thought. Oh, I don't want to post in the blogs on YouTube. No, I'm not going to do that, Wayne. But I will... What I will do is I will try to cover some of more of the information I put on HPANWO Voice in my next video, which is coming probably in a few days. Missing time. Marley Pumpkin says, you live in a fantasy world. All this UFO nonsense has twisted your mind. You are trying to distract your acolytes from reality with UFO rubbish. P.S. You are not shadow banned. Your subscribers are not interested in your UFO obsession. It's childish and boring. You lost 45 minutes and thinks aliens abducted you? Lol. You become pathetic, Ben. Oh, dearie me. I love you too, Marley. And you know what? Firstly, there's a lot of adjectives and a lot of rhetoric here. Not really much of a point I can really reply to. But you keep mentioning UFOs. You mentioned UFOs several times. I actually have never suggested that my 45 minutes of missing time had anything to do with UFOs. I did not see a UFO at any point during my journey. I didn't see any lights in the sky. I didn't see any guys on street corners with lipstick and pale faces and sunglasses. I didn't see anything like that. So these are your words, not mine. I don't know. All I actually said was that alien abduction is a possible cause of missing time. I suggest you read Bud Hopkins' book, Missing Time. And he says, you are not shadow banned. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I've got an entire video explaining that, Marley. And I provide evidence. I provide data from my own stats page. I am. So I think you are. No, I think you. Well, I say I don't agree with your points, but you don't actually make any points here, do you? Yeah, in fact, the only point you make is about my shadow banning, and I've already refuted that. You keep claiming that. I'm saying that aliens abducted me when I never said that was the. I never said that's what happened. I said that's a possibility. I've got no evidence to suggest alien abduction happened. I have nothing at all to explain exactly what happened to me. There's no evidence of any explanatory model for what happened to me. All I know is that for some reason 55 minutes were cut out of my life, and I don't know why, and I can't remember them. Missing time, Checkpoint says, Ben makes a video about Betty and Barney Hill, then he has missing time. Nah, not buying it. Well, it's not for sale, Checkpoint. It's free. Okay, Ferdinand Gollier says, on missing time. Ben, this may sound like a flippant question, but I assure you it isn't. Did you wear bright colours when entering the woods? The reason I ask is David Paulides, whom you have spoken of, has regularly spoken of strange occurrences in the vicinity of trees and woods. Furthermore, if the experiencer has been wearing bright clothing, they all seem to have the stronger version, so to speak. People with Germanic ancestry, intelligent people, are also high on the experiencer chart. And yourself, Dutch ancestry? I say that the Dutch are Germanic, and you are a smart guy. I'm not being a woo merchant. There is enough evidence to state that strange things do indeed happen in the woods. Maybe it was your turn. Yeah, that's worrying, actually, Ferdinand, because, of course, a lot of the cases in which David Paulides researches, they're not returned. Some of them are. I mean, some of the people he talks about actually are, such as the boy. He was a young boy when it happened. He was found lying in the snow 20 miles from his home, and they found him before he froze to death. There was also Konstantinos Philippidis, a guy from Toronto who went skiing in New York State, at the what's it called, the Whitebeard Mountain. It's called. It's a spooky area. Vanished. Turned up in Sacramento, California, a few days later, wearing his skiing gear. No idea where he'd been. But you know, a lot of people who do vanish in his research projects are never returned. So that's scary. I'm not, if something happened to me which was in that area, that result, I don't know. I mean, Germanic ancestry. Yeah, I mean, I have. My mother was Dutch. Well, I don't know if Dutch counts as Germanic. Then the Netherlands is next door to Germany. Dutch is a Germanic language. It's close. It's a West Germanic language, closely related to German, more closely so than English. It could be. I don't know. But thanks for the information. I will hesitate before I go into the woods for a wee again. I'll tell you. Charles from Project Camelot. The same David Paulides who was never a detective but a convicted felon. That David Paulides, the same David Paulides who had already taken published material and changed the details to make them sound more mysterious. The same David Paulides who said that 98 people who were actually found alive and well vanished without trace. That David Paulides. Well, Charles, like I said, I'd like to discuss the factual elements of the cases he makes. I mean, you did actually bring the 98 people who were found alive and well without trace. Did Paulides know that they'd been found alive and well when he said they'd gone forever? That's the point. Or were they found later after he actually publicised them? Ferdinand Gollier says to Charles, I think he's addressed lots of those points. Send your questions to him and see what he says maybe. Charles says, I did, and he threatened to sue me, so I said, let's do this in a public forum. I'm still waiting years later. Well, you know, Charles, perhaps he would respond to a request for a tribunal, a shill tribunal. You never know. Ferdinand says, well, if you're convinced enough of your convictions, let him sue you, maybe. Charles says, the offer is still open. He won't know because I sent him the arrest report by Sandra Gonzalez, newspaper scans of people he claimed vanish who never did, and the whole heap of PDF scans he copy-pasted from other writers, pointing out where he deliberately changed the details for 411. All right, well, again, this is something that probably could be sorted out in court. David Paulides is not here to defend himself, Charles. But you know, what you've said here, if it's true, then obviously that's disreputable behaviour. But as with Charles Scott, you know, I'm not going to take your word for it. I think this may be a situation where it does need to involve in some kind of lawsuit, or maybe even my idea for a shield tribunal. But you know, I'd love to discuss some of the factual elements of the cases, rather than focusing on Paulides as a person. Go into the factual cases with you and talk about those. The ones in the 411 movies, the two 411 movies. It's disturbing stuff, actually, the 411 movies, especially with the little kids. Very worrying stuff. Ferdinand says to Charles, right, well, would you concede that some of his cases are of note, though? Charles says, they aren't real cases because he's changed the details. He copied them specifically from Over the Edge, Death in Grand Canyon, 2001 by Michael P. Guillieri. Off the Wall, Death in Yosemite by Thomas Myers, 2008. Death in Yellowstone, 2009, first edition, which was a collaborative work between Myers and Guillieri, which makes Paulides' 411 versions complete fiction. These guys had no problem obtaining records from the park services, by the way. That's another lie Paulides tells because anybody can do it. Have these authors ever sued Paulides, Charles? It may be an interesting lawsuit, that, wouldn't it? Checkpoint says to Ferdinand Gollier, the world of woo is the realm of bullshit artists and poor souls who take them seriously. Alex Jones, Jordan Maxwell's, Zachariah Sitchin, David Icke, Preston Nichols, Al Bielek, Graham Phillips, the list goes on, all proven bullshit scam artists. Yeah. It's proven, but Checkpoint is not actually going to explain how it's been proven. Charles says to Checkpoint, why do you think Paulides has to publish, though? A Bigfoot site? No, actual reputable publisher wouldn't touch him due to his history of scams and fabrication. Oh, he publishes through a Bigfoot site, I see, okay. Well, this is one for the tribunal. He's not here to defend himself, Charles, but if what he's saying is, if what your accusations against him are true, then let's see, you know, that's a bad thing. But David, if you're watching, Feel free to comment. Put your side across. I'd be very interested to hear it. As with Charles Scott, the floor is yours if you want to refute anything that Charles Project Camelot says. I've had missing time. Warbabe 1951 says, "Oh my God!" Oh, I know. That was my words precisely when I realised what was going on. Missing time. Couple of observations. Oh, this is Paul Armstrong. Hello, Paul. Couple of observations. Firstly, in the age of online grocery shopping, how does that career still exist? And secondly, isn't this the first time a man has slipped into the bushes, exposed himself, and lost track of time? The reason why does she not Why does she not shop online? This lady, I don't know. I got the job through a mutual friend who referred me to her. She gives me some money. She pays me basically to do her shopping for her. I don't know. I could suggest that to her and lose the job. I don't know. As for exposing myself in the bushes, I was actually trying not to expose myself, which is why I went into the bushes. Ed Kaler says perhaps she likes the personal contact. It could be that, Ed. Yes, it could be. I just wrote a review actually of Truth Seekers. In the first episode is actually quite touching because the first ghost it's a sort of horror comedy about a pair of ghost hunters, and by day they install broadband connections. The first ghostly house they go to, this old lady, and she's really nice. She invites them and makes them a cup of tea while they go to fix her TV. Turns out she sabotaged the TV herself because she just wanted to summon the engineer so she'd have someone to talk to. Oh. Maybe this lady's the same. I mean, she does like to have a natter when she's in, and she's very sweet. She's a very sweet old lady. She's 70-something and she can't walk very well. She's got arthritis. Missing time. No Mark 2 says, "Where's Brian Harvey?" I don't know. He wasn't around at the time. Same video, Ed Kaler. "Dude, ketamine and booze, man, and get some really weird missing time from that." And I'm just joking, brother. This is very weird. All right, yeah. I thought you were, Ed, and yeah, I've never tried. I have tried booze, but never mixed it with anything. It was very strange. I swear I don't drink when I'm on duty. And Johnny Enigma says, "Can you check CCTV footage for the day?" I'm in the process of doing that. I actually, on Monday, I wrote to Tesco's, to their to their customer service line, just saying, writing under the Data Protection Act, about maybe accessing some CCTV. The lights were low. I'm missing time. Has she slipped you a Mickey Finn? Then had her wicked way. You're talking about like a succubus type situation, are you? There are situations. There are beings in the woods. There's the Fae, the Tulluith Teg, whatever you call them, that live in forests and things like that. And sometimes they will pounce on a weary traveller, and sometimes they will use them for sex or they'll make them do jobs for them, or they will even eat them. There's legends of these things throughout the world. But if that happened, well, I don't think that happened. If I had, I can't remember it. Maybe it might have been the kind of experience I'd want to remember, but I can't. Trevor Murray says, I get missing time, and when I realise it, deja vu is also connected to my time lapse. Funnily enough, Trevor, I've been having a lot of deja vu lately. I had it 3 times. I was actually when was it? I was actually in the middle of a stream of some kind. I think I was listening to one of Lisa's shows. Let's just see if I can find the message. I mentioned I had deja vu in the comments section. That's it. Very odd. Johnny Liqueur says on Missing Time, "I had to say, Ben, you're acting like you tripped out on cocaine." Well, if the old guy I worked for before, I must have slipped me some then. The guy I finished working for, it's 3:50, and I go in, I clean his house from top to bottom. He must have slipped something. He did give me a glass of water. He might have slipped a tab in, you know. Charles from Project Camelot says it makes a good Halloween story, though. A bit early for Halloween, yeah. But and David Smith says on to Charles, he's off the black goo and onto the white powder. If I had the money for it, God blimey, if I had the money for it. I can see the funny side of it now, really, because, you know, it's whatever happened, I can't remember it, and things have been normal since then. But I'll tell you what, though, I've read about missing time. I read Bud Hopkins' book. I've talked to people who have missing time. The guy I met last week is a guy who regularly has missing time. He's a contactee. And I've always found it interesting, and I know it goes on. It seems a bit creepy, but I'll tell you what, when it happens to you, it's very different. It's never happened to me personally. Now it has. It does feel different, I'm telling you. TK says, so you don't remember it happening and don't remember anything about it. Didn't you feel any strange energy vibrations or any sense of interdimensional resonation? So basically nothing happened of any note whatsoever. Weird. I hope you're coping with this. Thanks, TK. I am. You know, I don't remember any strange vibrations or interdimensional resonation at all. Nothing of the sort. I went into the bushes, had a wee, came out. The only weird thing was that the person I could see at the time was gone. There was somebody walking towards me in the distance and they were gone when I came out, which doesn't make sense. Unless they turned around and walked away. Which, again, it's possible. But then I would have seen them. I'll probably seen the back of them at that point. Because I was literally only in the bushes for like about 40 or 50 seconds. Not to worry. Not to worry. I just thought that was odd at the time. I just thought a very strange thing at the time. Carl Helsby says, hi Ben, interesting worrying event. Have you checked your phone for any problems or glitches around that time? If you had possibly been abducted or taken, something may be on your phone, just a thought. I'd have to contact O2, my provider. Probably. But Charles says, why not confirm the time from other sources before jumping to conclusions? Yes, that's correct, Charles. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I've written to Tesco under the Data Protection Act. Hopefully they'll come up with some... They'll come up with something from me. Oh, Steve Mumbling is back. Aha! Angry, agitated, talking fast. I was a bit, I suppose, yeah. It's not the ideal filming conditions. Changed your meds by any chance? Steve, I'm not on meds. Aliens and secret government departments wouldn't be wasting their time on a self-employed odd job man. Yes, but it depends who that self-employed odd job man does. This twaddle is really scraping the bottom of the barrel, as there's nothing whatsoever going on in the conspiracy world. Let's all make something up. Steve, I didn't make anything up. I didn't. I swear to you, this happened. I really did. Charles says, personally, I would check multiple sources of the time, not just my own phone to confirm it. Then, if it was consistent, I would go and get a CT scan or blood test before going on camera and considering aliens abducted me. The thing is, Charles, I originally wasn't going to say anything. I was going to talk to my friend last week. I was going to meet up with him and decide on a plan of action. But then I thought to myself, I do explain this in the video. I thought, what if something really horrible happens and I'm blamed for it? What if I do something really horrible? And what then? And my face appears on a mugshot on the evening news. I give you the example of Sirhan Sirhan, a guy who can't remember shooting Bobby Kennedy. I don't believe he did. I know he fired a gun, but he was on the wrong side of Bobby Kennedy to fire the fatal bullet. But you know, he protests his innocence. But so I thought to myself, if I get the word out, so I wrote an article, and I also did this video. I wrote because I wanted to get the word out, just in case that happened. I wasn't going to originally, but then that thought occurred to me. Steve Mumbling says, personally, I think it's just something else he made up. Making videos is his hobby, his obsession. He feels he has to make a video about something, anything. We all know he has no interest in truth, so any drivel will do. Well, Steve, rhetoric, no arguments. It's not true. Anything you said here is everything you said is untrue. That's all I can say. Charles says, oh, speaking of making things up, we all had a good laugh on Erica's vid chat a couple of nights ago. Yeah, that's the one I missed. I'm sorry about that. The UFO scene is so desperate for content that Bob Bigelow is now saying he saw a giant dinosaur beaver materialize at Skinwalker Ranch and is selling a book about it. I promise, this is an actual thing that people are falling for. I haven't heard about that, about Bigelow saying that. I know that Bigelow, Bigelow is... I'm finding it a little bit dodgy now. He's sort of disappeared off the UFO scene. He's actually he's doing psychical research now. He's got a thing called BICS, the Bigelow Institute for Continued Survival or something like that. Consciousness Survival. John Greenwald did a video about him, which actually didn't surprise me. The video actually basically said that Bigelow had got involved with ATIP as part of what he describes as a sweetheart deal. In other words, he wasn't brought in as a contractor through the normal channels. He essentially did it through his influence. Now, that doesn't surprise me one bit, because unfortunately, that happens. In all these situations where contractors get contracts with the government, then there's supposed to be like a tendering service so the taxpayer gets the best value for money. And different companies apply for the tender. There's a competition basically to win the best contract. This is the whole internal market thing in government operations. The problem is it's a complete fantasy. What happened at my hospital was that basically there's some backhand deals. Certain people get finder's fees, the people who make the decision. In this case, it was the hotel services manager at my hospital who we knew what was going to happen, because the moment the word got out they were putting us out for tender, the porters. The moment that happened, this particular guy, this hotel services manager, was a horrible little skinny gimp who went off to work at a private hospital afterwards. We call them boy wonders, these really young managers. He suddenly starts hanging out every day with the Mediclean manager, the ones, because Mediclean already had the domestic contractor. It's sort of like they're eating dinner all the time. They're always they're always socialising, and I thought, there's no tender going on here. They've done a backhander with Mediclean, and Mediclean been told the contract is theirs. And from what John Greenwald said in this video, the same thing seems to be done with Bob Bigelow. And I mean, I've never suggested Bigelow is a saint, and it seems that he does these things. He is doing these standard business practices when it comes to government contracts. He decided to get involved in UFO research. At some point, the government decided to contract him, Bigelow Aerospace, to deal with this physical debris study, and no one else was allowed to apply for it. Well, they could have applied for it, but it would have been a waste of time, because he was basically he was probably told by outside the normal channels that he was going to get the contract anyway. In fact, Greenwald said that the whole ATIP thing might well have been created for him. I mean, you could call it corrupt, you could call it dishonest, and it is in a way, but that's the way the cookie crumbles in this world. It's not the way I like it. I'd like to think better of Bigelow, but that's what he did. As the Skinwalker Ranch thing, though, on the bigger level, I mean, there's something going on. There's something weird. I don't know about dinosaur beavers, but there's weird stuff going on there for certain. And Steve Mumbling says, hilarious. No doubt Bigelow will have lots of video and stills of this giant beaver. Talking of giant beavers. Charles says, amazingly, it was an interdimensional beaver, so it doesn't show up on film or leave footprints. People are still believing this absolute rubbish, though. Steve Mumbling, members of the collapsing conspirasphere are desperately clutching at straws. Steve Mumbling says to Charles, the last response to comments. No, Steve, this is not. You are now getting a comments reply video as you are seeing. Diego Rivera, missing time. Did the English Bigfoot hit you over the head? I thought, I'd bet myself Diego Rivera would come up with the Bigfoot thing. The whole Bigfoot stuff, yeah. Indeed, I actually didn't, as I said, if there'd been some footprints around or something, that would have helped. It's like when that old guy disappeared in the second 411 movie by Paul Ides. I know Charles thinks it's not what it seems to be, but there was interviews with all his family and everything. He literally just pops off. He's just gone. If you saw like a group of Bigfoots running towards the area or a flying saucer swooping down, at least it would give them some clue about where he went. He was this old guy with one eye. He went hunting with his mates and vanished. Right, Rachel's Eyes book review. Popsicle Ocean says, any proof of these? Of what? Of what's going on with Rachel's Eyes? Proof? I don't think there's proof. No. I can't remember all the details now about how it stands up. I'm sorry. Jack Parker says on I've Had Missing Time. Check for receipt. All right. This is check for the receipt you may have kept in your pocket or something like this. I tried to do that, Jack. I can't find it. I actually did even search through the bin. I can't find it. Ask the cashier if you're a regular, if she can remember what time you were there. She may have had a break or something coming up or something. Tell her there's a business reason you need to remember. It may need proof. It's possible police investigation. If possible, police investigation comes up. Right. I can't remember who served me. I mean, I've been shopping there about 6 months. I know a few of them just to say hello to. I'm not like a. I do go in there a couple of times a week. Who was it who served me? I can't remember anyway. That is actually a good. That's a good idea. I mean, it is going to be part of my. It is actually going to be part of my upcoming investigation. I think if I could get CCTV, that will be something. That will be a good start. Anyway, guys, I think that's the end of it now. If not, I'll adjust the next segment if it's anything less or more. Guys, you're not going to believe this. It was dead on 1 hour. I thought I was going to have to use the old tag for a while, the 2 hour tag for a couple of comments before switching over. But I checked the length of the video I've just recorded, the segment, and it's 1 hour exactly. So I estimated the 10 minutes of missing time, if I can use that term, before I started the clock. Absolutely on the dot. Jack Parker also says, haven't had time to watch answer to comments videos. Have my hand lashed to a steering wheel. Oh dear. And then lashed down to bed after work. Oh, God, blimey. What the life you lead, Jack. As if magnetically attached. I think they call it gravity. 5:30 alarm and then stumble out. Back to more of this. The steering wheel and the road. Leading to a variety of jobs. These people seem to be holding whips. Nah, must be in my imagination. All right, well, Jack, there's no rush to watch the comments reply videos. They're there whenever you want them on all the platforms, so they're pretty secure. I keep them. I don't take them down. But yeah, that's a 5:30 alarm. Blimey, you're not a hospital porter by any chance, are you? Missing time again. Jack Parker says something really horrible you can't remember. Maybe that guy that works at the store. Can you remember leaping across the aisle to him and the people around gathering around after noticing him, saying what happened? I don't know. He's just laying on the floor. I don't remember anything like that. I mean, everything that happened in the shop was pretty normal, Jack. There's nothing. Like I say, nothing happened that indicated I should be concerned about anything odd going on. Jack says here on Missing Time, I think you can just be frank with them. Tell them, maybe in a joking way, that you may have been abducted. Tell who? Tell the people at the shop. Well, I went to the actual branch, and they told me to call head. They tell me to either call or write to head office, and I wrote to their customer support section. Or had a seizure or something, and you're concerned. And ask the ones you can remember in the store what time they saw you there, because they probably can correlate their break times to it, or how long they had left in the day to work. They all tend to do it, watch the clock futilely while anticipating the day's end. Yeah, Jack, someone else suggested that, and I don't know them personally. I mean, I just, some of them I say hello to. They serve me and I say hello, and I recognise a few of them because I've been shopping there for 6 months or so, but I'm not that regular. It's not like a little corner shop where, Auntie Jade has her little stall and stuff like that when they say, "Hello, Ben." It's not that sort of thing. Oxford's not like that, unfortunately. Helen Duncan, wartime psychic jails. This is one of my favourite videos, actually. Sean Westerby says, "Hi Ben, 39 Steps, Kenneth More, 1959. Sure, the Nellie character was a reference to Helen Duncan. Maybe someone was telling us something in the script. The film is about spies." Right, I've seen the film with, what's his name? Hang on. I know it's John Buchan is the 39 Steps. Is a book. It's a book by John Buchan. It's a 1935. It's a 1915 film by John Buchan. 1978 film. I think that's the one. Yeah, but it says you see there is a 1959 version of this film. I know it's about spies. It's very good. Robert Powell. That's a very good film, actually. The 1978 one. I've not seen the 1959 one, but it's a really interesting story. It's a really cool story. It's exciting, when he's hanging from Big Ben and stuff. It's really, oh God, that gives me butterflies. I don't know about the Nellie character. I don't remember a character called Nellie in the 1978 movie, which is the only film I've seen of it. Unfortunately, it's the only film I've actually seen of this. But it is about spies. It's very good. It's The lights were missing time. The lights were low. I'm guessing, Ben, if you shop in Tesco regularly, you'll have a club card. This, apart from accumulating points to give you money off vouchers, also gives you a lower price on selected everyday products. If you present them, that you sound like an advert. Lights were low. Selected everyday products. If I'm sure you have one, you presented this, then Tesco will have an exact time of when you were at the checkout. Knowing a very senior Tesco area regional manager, who states if you could establish a valid reason for a request, they will also view their digital video records that will show you entering, shopping and leaving the store. They can track a 2-hour slot in minutes. I'll read more. Just a thought. The lights were low. Thank you very much. I'm already doing the CCTV request. I'm also doing that. I did ask them, and they've referred me to their head office email, which I've written to. I don't actually have to provide a reason. I just have to write under the Data Protection Act, which I've done. But I put in a text comment here to the lights were low. I forgot. But I did actually. I don't have a club card. No, ever the libertarian. I don't want my shopping habits, even though I'm shopping for somebody else, not for myself. I don't want my shopping habits stored on a database. I don't have anything like that. I always use cash. I don't have any loyalty cards of any kind in any shop. I like these things to be private. Checkpoint says to me, I use club cards. It saves me a fortune, and the databases know fuck all about me. Register using a one-time throwaway email and pay cash. Pick a random postcode, or in case where multiple people live in your address, use the real one if you like. If you pay by card, you might as well have a loyalty card because they're tracking you anyway. Right, I don't pay by card, I pay by cash. As for the rest of it, that is not a bad idea. Thanks, Checkpoint, because when I actually applied, when the bloody this is when I was going out with Sue Stain, I used to use the buses in Nottingham, and I actually did a couple of videos and articles about this, the Mango card they have. When I started using it, it's a lot cheaper. But I actually did that. I picked a random address and made up a fake name to register my Mango card. And no one said anything. They didn't ask me for ID or anything. Yeah, not that it matters anymore. I haven't been back there since. Spies of London Part 1. Jack Burns. Can anyone point me to the subsequent parts? YouTube started playing Part 3 after this, but I wanted to watch them in sequence. Oh, right. Jack, the YouTube Part 3 you're watching is not one of my productions. I've only ever managed to do Part 1 so far. Basically, I did this, then the lockdown hit. I should actually carry on doing more, but I'm actually considering changing the title. I'm not very keen with this Spies of London Parts thing. I might give Part 2 a different title and not put it in sequence. Maybe not have it in sequence. But anyway, Part 3 is not my production. It's probably something to do with YouTube's. It's probably it's YouTube's algorithms probably selected that on its related videos list. But I do hope you like this one. There's no Part 2 either. I'm hoping to do a part 2 at some point. Missing time. Tessa, you've been doing tons of vids about historical UFO stuff. Maybe got zapped from the MIBs. Well, this is what Sue Stain actually said when I found out I had my implants. She said, she said, you've been too interested in UFOs. That's why. David Splendid Isolation says, could be a time slip. Well, it is. I mean, technically, it is a time slip. I mean, just meaning that it's kind of something happened where I lost time. Yeah, technically, that is a time slip. Okay, this is a reply to Caroline Stevens. Jack Burns said, after listening to this last night, I was curious to find the document Caroline Stevens had found so damning. All I found was a laughable compilation of shill reasoning. Yeah. It's probably written by the Department of Disinformation. Ben is my favourite go-to YouTuber. I might not agree on every topic. That's to be expected in the truth seekers realm. Oh, thank you, Jack. You're getting a love heart. And you're absolutely right about this ridiculous Sharon Kilby document. It's a morass of chaotic, logical. It's basically a logical maelstrom. It's meaningless. It's a rational nothing burger. This is why I didn't actually dissect it until I found out that Caroline actually read it and turned against me for that reason. I've not seen her or spoken to her. She unblocked me on Twitter, and I DM'd her, but she didn't reply. But I'd love to talk to her. I mean, I think she owes me an apology, quite frankly. But if she gives me one, I won't hold a grudge. I'll say, okay, forget about it. Free will article and comments. Charles said, I felt compelled to make this comment. Thank you, Charles. You did, because you're always in there first, aren't you? Because you're Charles. Free will article and comments. Israel Diego Rivera 2, genius to the real genius. We all have free willies. Unfortunately, it can lead us astray. Oh, I can if you're not careful, mate. Yeah. It's luckily I think I've reached the age where I realise that if you do let it lead you astray, it causes a huge amount of trouble for yourself. Something I didn't realise when I was younger. Diego Rivera says on Missing Time, did Russell hit you over the head with a shovel in revenge for what happened to the Geordie Grey? Russell, that was Robert Hall's uncle. It wasn't me. Don't blame me. It was Uncle Joe, or whatever his name was. All right? Russell denies it. Right, free will articles and comments. Ravenhill, the mystery Black-Hooded Merchant, 1968, says, this is all too difficult for my primitive primeval mind. All right, well, and Dark Corners UK says, same. All right, well, it's a tricky... It's something I had to think carefully to get my head around, Ravenhill. But, you should be able to do it. I mean, it is sort of understandable, But it's and I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting indeed. Hatchie says on Free Will article, crikey, Ben, all this talk of conscious, it's all about the world we live in and how we connect and move on with all the dark elements that's wanting to bring humanity down. David Icke's already got this, buddy. Love and respect. Lots of exclamation marks in that. It's I know that's the world, how we live it, how we connect, and the dark elements. And move on to all the dark elements. Yeah, I do. Thing is, I do deal with those things too. But there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and just getting into a bit of pure theory. You can't. Honestly, it would get me down if I just spent my whole time focusing on how awful the world is. Cosmic Claire. Oh, you get a love heart for this. Hi, Ben. I'm sorry not to have got round to sending you the revised version, but I'm very flattered that you've taken the time to review the comments I sent you. There's more to come, and I have additional ideas, but I'll have to wait for now. Oh, Claire, well, thank you very much. As I said in the article, I really appreciate your input on this. It really has completely opened up this whole question again for me. It really has. You really made me think of things I hadn't thought of before. Free will, Carl Helsby. If I have free will, and that determines my actions and thoughts, is it random, or is that my free will has no deterministic cause? Then it may be random, therefore free will is spontaneous, and free will precedes thoughts. Any thoughts? Lol. Well, if that were the case, then you couldn't... it'd be hard to imagine how we would achieve anything, because if all our thoughts were random, then what prevents us simply from spinning around like a dervish and rolling on the floor and talking just gibberish? I know some people do that anyway, you know. Exactly, including certain X-ray porters I could mention. But, you know, for some reason we have something is cohering our thoughts down a certain channel. So, for example, the very act of I'm not just things like science, but the simple act of putting together the three sentences you've just written to me involves something anti-entropic against chaos. It's a signal within the noise. Whereas if something is determining your actions and thoughts, yes, it's not. If your actions and thoughts are random, then something is taking them and turning them into something non-random. Hugo Rune, I knew you'd say something about this. Free will article and comments. 8 minutes onwards, decisions you make. Oh God, your spelling's not very good. How much? Oh, blimey. Yes. Hugo, I think you're a bit Kane, aren't you, when you wrote this? Cannabis is my medication, Sativex prescribed, but I was growing my own. Come for a chat. Your spelling's all over the place, mate. You all right? Hugo, do you think time is a dimension? Oh, here we go. I've triggered him. Hugo carries on the same video. His spelling's improved a bit. I think he's come down from his high castle a bit. He's left his voice to Trip Out City. I'm sorry, but I believe that when you die, you die. There is no ghost. Go ahead and prove me wrong. Or I'll try, Hugo. But, I mean, I'd have to explain to you. I would have to explain to you the psychical research that's been done into this particular subject. Hugo says, English is a Germanic language, not a British language. Okay, it's Germanic in form, but it's spoken here. It's called an Anglic language. And that means because it's together with Scots, it's a Germanic language spoken here. It's an insular Germanic language, you could call it. It's distinctly different from all the others. That is the surviving branches, that is West Germanic and North Germanic. East Germanic's gone now. Gothic was the last one, which was spoken in Crimea, I think, till the 18th century. North Germanic is all the very closely related dialects of Scandinavia. Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, Icelandic, etc. Some of them are mutually intelligible, apparently Norwegian, Swedes. Danish apparently is the one which is most difficult to understand from people. Norwegians and Swedes can speak to each other more than they can to Danes. Anyway, Hugo Rune says, sorry Ben, you're born, you live, you die. Well, I think you are born and you live and you die, but the question is, that's not all to your existence. There is existence before your birth and after your death. That's the point. I know you're born and live and die, yeah. Hugo Rune says in a completely separate comment, soul bollocks does not exist. You're born, you exist, and you die. Well, I don't think so, Hugo. I mean, I think I'd have to go into, like I said, I'd have to go into the details of psychical research for you for us to get to grips with this sort of thing. You've made some assertions about your own view. Presumably you're a materialist and don't believe in the soul or anything kind. You're an atheist. Fair enough. Well, it's something to debate. I'd like to go into the factual issues of this whole thing. Jack Parker says on free will, internment camps, not Japanese, but let's consider Chinese, and everyone that looks like them are being mistreated in direct correlation. As eyewitness, because of COVID-19 virus physical attacks upon these individuals that are Chinese or look Chinese in this country. I remember that, Jack. That was pretty horrible that some Chinese people were assaulted because when the virus first emerged in China, which is pretty stupid. It's not only a very horrible, cruel thing to do and stupid, it's doubly stupid when you think if someone's got a disease and you don't want to catch, you think they've got a disease, going up and punching them in the face, you're more likely to get it, aren't you? Of course, by watching the news, that's also witnessing. This is not to say what to do about this. It's just an analysis of an observed phenomenon and not anomaly. Behaviour of very stupid people, however, or wherever they came from. Also on the 6th, that tour group, and the impetus they needed to spur them into action with their verbal acknowledgements as to the reason their leaders sent them. I don't understand the last bit of that comment, Jack, but I understand your distress at the beginning of the comment. Yeah, I do. I don't understand what you mean at the end. I'm sorry. Jack Parker says on free will, Maybe serendipitously, the internment camps, a reason to protect the Japanese Americans. Well, the story was, yes, they were put in there for their own safety. However, I watched a documentary on it, and one of the inmates, he was an old man now, he's been interviewed, he said, well, you know, we went in there and they said it was to protect us. But the barbed wire on the fence faced inwards, as if it was meant to keep. It wasn't meant to keep other people out. It was meant to stop us getting out, like a prison. So yeah, it's Jack Burns says the Baldwin gun incident had me pondering fate prior to the crucial moment. Did he forget the risks, acting on autopilot because it was fated? I ponder fate quite a bit, and I do wonder if some things happen because they're meant to happen. Excuse me. But as for Baldwin, I know people are coming out with all kinds of conspiracies about it. It's mostly connected to the identity of the woman he shot. However, there's nothing at the moment to suggest anything weird happened. Baldwin doesn't strike me as the kind of bloke who could be recruited in some kind of conspiracy. He himself is very anti-gun. He's anti-Trump. It could be just what it looks like, a horrible accident. As I've said in my live streams, you know, accidents in the movies do happen and people get killed. I mentioned the Twilight Zone movie. Someone mentioned Jackie Chan. Not Jackie Chan. What's it? Not Jet Li. One of the Lee boys was killed. Brandon Lee was killed on set. It was similar. He was shot. Missing time. Pauline Phillips. That must have been very frightening, Ben. Not knowing when it was makes it even worse. Great suggestions of that person regarding the receipt, etc. Could it have been whilst you were in the lady's house? I don't think so, because I went in there. She was actually out. It would be great if she was there and I could have asked her. Well, she would have probably asked me why I was a bit late. I just went in, put the food away, and went out again. A couple of minutes that took. Yeah. Freewheeler. Hugo Rune again. Cannabis. Yes, I could say much. I toke around 3 grams a day and also have Sativex. I'm having mental problems. The odd fit blackout lasting a minute. The nurses noticed it, and so I lost my driving license. But I do not put these fits in my use of cannabis. I do have a drug problem. I drink beer daily, starting around 8:30 in the evening. I'll drink up to 10 cans of San Miguel, be in bed by 2 a.m. My good Hugo, you stop out. Yeah, I've noticed from some of your posts, actually, and some of the emails sent, you are behaving strangely, Hugo, I must say. But, you know, it'd still be nice to talk further with you, definitely. All right, so Checkpoint. Now, this comment was in my review folder because it had a link, and I didn't want Checkpoint accusing me of deleting it, so I did leave a text comment. Do you think that in this video, I think this is the Marcus Allen of the British Interplanetary Society.
But I just quickly, rather than hogging this...
Oh, this is 10 minutes long. Marcus Allen confirms he believes Apollo landed men on the moon, and only the visual record is in doubt. Vote yes with a thumbs up or no with a thumbs down. Notice he confirms he's talking Apollo, not some alternative secret surrogate mission, when he says Apollo record was enhanced. Remember, it's not you if you think Apollo landed men on the moon. It's if Alan does, going on what he says in the video. Watch all 10 minutes by all means, but he confirms his position in the first few. Ben claims Marcus doesn't believe Apollo landed men on the moon. However, when I left a link to this video, which Ben has seen, he quickly hit pause in his response video. So you didn't hear the audio. Deliberately being dishonest. Shut up, I'm not deliberately being dishonest. I'm simply as I told you at the time, Checkpoint, I've seen this video before. We have discussed it before. And I'll watch it again, okay? It's 10 minutes, I'll watch it again when I finish watching this video. And if he does say that, I will say so. But I actually didn't hear him say that. I didn't hear him confess that at all. Oh, anyway, Free Will article. In comments, Tessa1111. Since every cell of our bodies is holographic, couldn't each cell also store memories and contain soul consciousness and unconsciousness, as well as activating the Akashic record library? I think so, Tessa, yeah. These things are holographic. I've read The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. David Smith. The comments debate wasn't that great, to be honest, Ben. I'm no expert, but as far as I'm aware, there is still no good evidence for free will. There are, however, plenty of fallacious arguments and appeals to emotion and claims, and people who need free will as a foundation for their other beliefs they hold. There are also a lot of people who jump in, think they make great points, yet demonstrate they do not quite understand the problem. All right, David. Well, I thought your debate with the other David was very interesting. But you say there's no evidence and fallacious arguments and things like that. Well, if any fallacious arguments were made by Claire or myself, please say what they are. And you also say that people jump in, think they make great points, yet demonstrate they don't quite understand the problem. Well, by all means, explain the error of our ways. Maybe I could do a third free will video addressing them. As you heard, Cosmic Claire is going to write more on this. COP26 live stream, Ed Kaler. This video shows a Wikipedia article alongside it, lol. It does indeed, Ed. In fact, a lot of my videos have them. Some of the climate change ones, as the Area 51 ones. What it is, Wikipedia and YouTube have got together and they put in so-called fact-checking links in the description box. Yeah, so, basically, I knew that would happen, actually, when I mentioned climate change. I was expecting it. Ed Kaler says on March for Life, lol, yeah, this is a mega globalist Pope, even promoting race mixing with refugees. The Pope is, I don't like the Pope at all. I mean, you know what I think of immigration. I don't comment on people's relationships and who they choose to have relationships with. Inevitably, in the day when we can communicate and travel more than we used to, people of different races are going to fall in love. That's inevitable. What I object to is it essentially we've been deliberately engineered to be forced into these situations. That, I think, is what's wrong. Ed Kaler says on March for Life, and refers to the point where the counter-protesters are there. I saw Unison, I saw the Labour Party, all the usual suspects. The counter-protesters, yuck, sicko satanic lot, getting so worked out about their rights to baby killing. Exactly, Ed, yes, I felt that about them as well. Yeah. COP26 live stream. Sue Hayward-Tonkin says, I still remember the day when my son came home from school and told me how to change my carbon footprint. Oh, God. I laughed and told him not to believe that it wasn't and that it was rubbish. Well, Sue, hopefully you got through to him. COP26 live stream. Tommy Time Television says, love you, Ben. Oh, thanks, Tommy. Much appreciated. COP26 live stream. Alex Ritchie, you're preaching to the choir. Well, I know, but I think this needed to be covered. I will probably say more about this later. You need to up the ante, Ben, and stop your beating around the bush, pussyfoot step scenario. Love you, but the time is now for action, not waffle. Well, with all due respect, Alex, I think I am. I think I am taking action here. The thing is, what you call waffle is a part of the action. People putting out social media posts, diffusing all this nonsense, all this drive for globalist New World Order hegemony, on the basis of, oh my God, the world's getting too hot. What kind of action would you suggest, if not to put out information countering that false narrative? COP26 live stream. Tommy Time Television says, Ben, I've read David Icke's. What the hell happened? Oh, I've done it again. Oh,
Flyer that's been
sorry.
distributed.
I've just messed up my comments. Hang on. Lord, I've got to scroll down again. Sorry, it's not so far this time. How on earth did that happen? What's going on? What's going on? Oh, hang on. Comments haven't responded yet. That's it. All right, down we go. Oh, we must be nearly there. Right, yeah. Ben, I've read David Icke's books. His research and mindset are miles away from truth. You go on about scaring people to death seems a bit hypocritical. No, I'm absolutely not. I mean, if you explain why David Icke's books are miles away from the truth, feel free to point out where he goes wrong, and we can have a discussion about them. Hypocritical? No, I'm actually being quite consistent in what I said. Oh, here we go. Tommy says on the same video, David Icke talks of tablets going missing in Iraq and New Babylon. He got that wrong. I was hooked on him until I found out he over-substantiated his findings. Right. By over-substantiated, I mean I think you mean exaggerated and things like that. Well, by all means, explain. Is that true? The tablets didn't go missing? How do you know? Tommy says, "I love you, Ben, but for a guy of your intelligence, you're just repeating. It's annoying." I know I've done it again. Hang on. How am I repeating? How am I repeating? Why do you keep doing this? In what way am I repeating? I'm just saying exactly what I've always. Something weird's going on, actually. Something is weird's going on now. I'm trying to put comments on here and they're not gelling. Okay, reply. Right click, paste, reply. What happened there? Something I keep coming off the page. If I'm just repeating, perhaps you'd explain to me, Tommy, what did I say beforehand, which I'm saying again now? Which video was it in? Or which article? Please let me know. COP26 live stream. Jack Parker. 5 comments, and what a comment. I sense a standing ovation already. If everyone could just remain seated, your eyes itching. Yeah. Edema alleviates and circulation improves. Okay. If on track, possibly even by chance, there is more muscularity control in the eyes and the tissue around the eyes and the skin included. We don't need to be associated with kidneys, but it's been correlated. Well, I will say in a dogmatic working science kind of way. Okay. Does this mean... See, I don't get itchy eyes all the time. It's only when I'm staring at the screen like this, actually. Maybe I could try that expansion thing that Tina told me. There we go. That's better, yeah. Jack Parker says, be careful not to violate the gate of entry. That means the mouth, the nose, and even the eyes obscuring substance, esoterically understood spectrum analysis. What on earth are you talking about? Jack Parker says here on COP26, no folly, no time to learn, however. Jack, you do speak in a very abstract way. He says here, don't forget to, and remember me, the guy who can call alien spacecraft. Can you? Can you? It's done it again. It's done it again. Oh, for fuck's sake. What the hell is happening here? Right click. I think if I right click off the box, that's when it goes wrong. Yeah, a lot of science overthinking is where we get to quite often as humans. And yes, I can say that I'm with that group. Science. It's not science overthinking, Jack. I think that's the problem. It's science being unable to work according to how it should be because of it's operating in an intellectual environment dominated by politics. Jack says here, your program, if you are adhering to one, I believe, I just heard by chance, working for some goal in a serendipitous way. Again, I don't know what you're saying, or I don't know what you're talking about. Jack says, in no way is this nonsense. Oh, it's not nonsense, no, but I don't quite understand what you're talking about. These are all comments by Jack Parker on the same video, just posted one after another after another. It's done it again. What's going on? I'm nearly finished with the YouTube now. Here we are. Allow the gravity of connection, allow realization. You know what? You're like that bloke in that bad... In the film, you know the comedy series Black Books? There's the guy who... He suddenly starts talking in... He suddenly buys this self-help book and he starts saying things like this. Allow the gravity of connection to allow realization. You know, Jack Parker, perhaps you should ask me, what is the sound of one hand clapping? What's the sound? It's like, I know the Simpsons, they go like this. Bart goes like that in the Simpsons. Yeah, Lisa says, what's the sound of one hand clapping? March for Life. Ed Kaler says, sorry for your loss with Alice. Thanks, Ed. Thank you. It was a long time ago now. It was 1994, but, you know, you never forget something like this. Never. COP26 live stream. Jack Burns says, scene from the new climate change themed blockbuster. Is there one? Arnold Schwarzenegger are the Illuminati riders, ready your majesty. Oh, let's see. Oh, he's the actor. Are the Illuminati riders ready your majesty? Yes, now capture that hospital porter forthwith. He's nosing around in Rendlesham Forest again. I'll be back. Sorry, Ben. Just my attempt at some lame humour. Any thought on these? All right, it's you now. Okay. Any thoughts on these insulate activists and their protest? Don't worry, I appreciate the humour, Jack. What I think they're bloody morons. I think they're idiots. They're fools, and they're just acting like they're acting in such a terrible way. And what's annoying is it's like the car drivers themselves being held up are the ones who have to go out and drag them out of the way. The police won't do it. Yeah. So that's my thought on that. And of course, for what? I mean, actually, insulating your house is not a bad idea, simply because it will cost you less money. It's much cheaper. Cavity wall insulation will slash your bills by £500 a year. Make sure you've got double glazing on your house. That makes a huge difference, I'll tell you. I've lived in houses with double glazing, without double glazing, and I know the difference. You can feel it in the winter, If you sit by a window, you can actually feel the cold in a single glazed pane. But the idea that someone sit in the middle of the road to force people to do it is disgusting. Hudek1 says on COP26, now there's shirts and hats that say LGBT. Let's go Brandon team. All right. So that's what that stands for now. Oh my God. I think that's called cultural appropriation. Okay, Gary Robinson says, hi Ben, this is completely off topic, but this is on COP26, by the way. I figured you'd want to know, we had something rather strange going on with the moon here one day last week. For the entire evening, it appeared to have a green halo around it, almost like a vertical version of Saturn's rings. I have a photo of it, which I'll email you. I'm not sure it's connected, but earlier in that week, a couple of guys I know were walking through the neighbourhood here in our city when they turned a corner to be confronted with what they described as a giant moon that took up most of the horizon. As you can imagine, they watched it for quite some time as they were strolling along. However, the object disappeared after being observed by a very tall obscured by a very tall building. And just for the record, they have no interest in UFOs or any woo subjects. They actually thought it was the moon until it was explained to them the moon couldn't appear that big in the sky. Cheers. P.S. In regards to the object disappearing, what I meant exactly is they passed the tall building. It obscured the object, but once they'd passed the tall building, the object had gone. Well, thanks for the information, Gary. I'd love to see the picture. Yeah, please send me the image. The halos can appear around the sun as a result of certain atmospheric around the moon. Halos of various kinds can appear around the moon because of atmospheric conditions, but they're not normally green. They're normally the same color as the moon, which is reflected sunlight, basically. Please do send them to me. I'd be interested to see them. And as for the guys, that's a very interesting experience they had. COP26 live stream. Unwashed and somewhat slightly dazed. That's his name. They have electric cars in Glasgow being topped up by diesel generators. Yeah, I saw that. That was bloody. What a sham. What a scam that is, isn't it? 25,000 attendees flying in on planes. I wonder how many will be tucking into nice juicy steaks on expensive, not mealworms. The rats now run the city. Wee Cranky is raging because she wanted to be the top dog. But but Carrie Eco Warrior, not when it comes to redecorating, looks to be the one pulling Boris's knob. Sorry, it's all in a farce. I know, unwashed it is so obviously corrupt and also obviously despicable, and the hypocrisy which you mentioned of the diesel generators running the electric cars. They might as well just give them diesel engines, cut out the middleman. Yeah, the rats are running the city. Yeah, Wee Cranky. It's about time they got rid of that Europhilic cow, honestly. And yeah, I do think Carrie, Boris's wife, has maybe she's influenced him in this way, because I've just seen Boris bloody talking about how important climate change is. What? This guy used to be he was the British Trump, and then for some reason he decided to give all that up and become a mainstream politician. And people in newspapers are saying, "Oh, bring Boris back, bring Boris back. We love the old Boris. Let's bring him back." Well, only Boris can do that. It's up to him. He's made a cock up. He can come back from it. It's not too late. It's like Darth Vader, you know. He can turn to the light side, but that's his decision. We can't run his life for him. Oh, my most recent video, the Halloween 2021 live stream. Diego Rivera says, "Where's your fancy dress costume? I thought you were going to dress up as the English Bigfoot." No, I was wearing this T-shirt. I'm still got it on now. You get the reference, don't you? If you're, some of you got the reference to what this T-shirt meant, especially when I had the carrot. Same video, Louis James. "Hi Ben, great stream as always. I watched that Rick Mail film, 1-to-1, about One by One, I think you mean. Yeah, One by One, about the New World Order that many people talk about. Quite well made, I thought, especially his point with the trade towers. Though I think it only got going about halfway. The whole first half was just her friend being shot and dragged a bit. Yeah, I found the film was actually quite well paced. I mean, it picks up later on, but Ernest, Mail's character, he's so cool. And the girl who got killed, I mean, what's weird is she looks and talks like Jamnoy 72. And I actually said this to Jackie at the time. I said, "Is it possible they've based this character on you?" It's a really, really good film. It's like a really cheap B movie, but it's like so. It's really weird because you look at his filmography, it's on there, but it's not in. It's the only film on Rick Mail's filmography that's not a hyperlink. It's one that most people rather forget that he did. They're going to wish that he never did that film. Same video, Louis James. P.S. That Haunted film that guy recommended is a fantastic classic. Yeah, I actually didn't see it. I went to the YouTube video, and it's just one of these like 1 hour adverts saying, "Oh, go to the link in the description. Go to the link in the description box to watch this movie in full." And it's just that for like an hour. I went to the link, and my antivirus rejected it, so I thought, no, I'm not going to risk it. I'll probably buy it on Netflix or Amazon or something, or it may be on Netflix, or maybe floating around somewhere else. Louis James said, "Also, Ben, did you ever listen to Art Bell? Did you hear the show about the whole Amityville story being a setup?" No, I certainly listened to Art Bell. I love Art Bell. I'm a huge fan of his, and I still listen to all his old shows now he's gone. But I know the whole Amityville story has been. It looks like it was set up by the family in the house. If it's not, well, so be it. We'll see. But anyway, I didn't hear the Art Bell show on that, but I have heard it from other sources. Dark Corner said, "The Art Bell episode where the guy phones up while attempting to fly to Area 51 is truly shocking to listen to." Yeah, that was Dark Corners, yes, although unfortunately that is also a bit dodgy because you can hear like sirens in the background while he's like flying his plane, and I thought that doesn't quite make sense. But some of his other videos, some of his other interviews are so good. Louis James says, "Yes, I heard that one. His shows are addictive. He has a worldwide audience." Yeah. And, the years after he died, he's still really popular. He really is. Oh, pardon me. Oops. Gary Robinson says on COP26 live stream, "Hey, Ben, mate, I recently been working with a singer-songwriter from Florida, and it turns out that the poor girl from the Alec Baldwin movie set was her creative director." Right, for this that's what's her name? Hutchins, Halia Hutchins. So she works with this woman you've been working with. Oh, right. All she knows is that it was an accident. That being said, I had no idea what her husband was up to. That's suspicious. Pride and dignity, brother. Pride and dignity, Gary. As far as I know, from what I've seen so far, it is likely simply to be an accident. I don't know, but I've seen no reason to think otherwise specifically now. The whole legal thing is an issue, but it doesn't make sense. Why would Alec Baldwin do that? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Dark Corners UK. There is a conspiracy theory doing the rounds that the shooting was perhaps an organised hit on Hutchins, who apparently has some involvement in an upcoming documentary about paedophilia within the Hollywood studio system that would undoubtedly shine much unwanted attention on these predators. In your opinion, is there any truth to this information? Dark Corners, this is the first I've heard about it. If it's true, then that seems a bit too coincidence. On the other hand, it might be apocryphal. Stories like this sometimes appear just out of the blue. They're not necessarily based on anything factual. Halloween livestream, Dark Corner says, speaking of your sleep paralysis and visitations, I had my own experience with a so-called shadow person. No, I'm just going to go back to normal. I wasn't just yet asleep, but I was in that period between being awake and slumber when I saw a tall figure of a man, approximately 7 feet tall, extremely thin, with a hunched back, standing in the centre of my living room, just watching me, as if he couldn't quite make out who I was. That's similar to what I had. Was the man covered in like a big black hooded gown? Because that's exactly what I saw. And again, he just stood there watching. He didn't do anything, just stood there watching. Halloween, Hugo Rune. Trick or treat? That is an American, nothing to do with us. Oh, right, is it? Okay. I mean, the origins of the various Halloween traditions, I don't know where they all necessarily come from. I know some of them might just simply come from other sources, I'm not sure. Gary Robinson says, Ben, mate, I have to pull you up on a small detail from your COP26 video, if you don't mind. Sure, go ahead. When you were talking about the proposed Amero currency for the Canada, Mexico, and the USA region, you mentioned that the border between Mexico and the USA no longer exists. Make no mistake, it's still there, and you still need the proper documentation to enter and leave the USA. The only time the border seems to become penetrable is when 15,000 Haitian migrants turn up. I'm happy to say that situation has now been sorted. Oh, yeah, you said so earlier, yeah. That being said, the border is still closed to non-US citizens unless you're taking a child to school or to an appointment. They claim it will be open to tourists again soon, as long as they can prove they have the V times 2. With all that in mind, I doubt I will ever be able to travel to the USA again. Pride and dignity, brother, pride and dignity. Thanks, Gary. I think I was exaggerating a bit when I said the border didn't exist. What I meant to say was that there's a huge amount of illegal border crossing between Mexico and the United States, not mostly in rural areas, and that very little has been done to stop it. And many say Biden is actually encouraging it. Halloween 2021, Hugo Runes says, I recall a haunting, quote-unquote, that happened to me way back in the 70s when I was in the army, based then in West Germany. I just finished my shift and was in my tent trying to sleep at 1 a.m. And after a while I got this strange image in the shadows that on my body. I couldn't breathe. I was petrified but couldn't move. But eventually I burst out of my camp bed, grabbed my clothing and ran to the forest for my work vehicle. I told my oppo what had happened. He described sleep paralysis to me, but I was still scared, a bloody frightened squaddy. I stayed in the vehicle that night and slept in the corner. I can sleep with the lights on, no probs. Hugo, what that sounds to you does sound like sleep paralysis. What you say here, you were trying to get sleep and got this strange image in the shadows on my body. I couldn't breathe. I was petrified but couldn't move. Strange image in the shadow. Yes, it sounds like you did have sleep paralysis. Yeah, that's a kind of weird. It's something that may not happen to you regularly. This sort of thing happens to me all the time. In your case, it may just be a one-off. Yeah, but it is. I think if it happened once to me, I'd be frightened. Because it happens to me regularly, I've got used to it. Bluebeam has written something in German, and Hugo replies in German. Right. I can't. I did learn German at school, but I can't remember any of it. But Hugo and Bluebeam have this little discussion here. Now, Halloween 2021. Control Voice. This was a fun Halloween live stream. Oh, thanks, Control Voice. I'm glad you like it. I don't recognise your name. I think you may be new. If you did watch The Haunting, 1963, I'd be interested in hearing a movie review if you feel up to it. It is a classic movie. The book is based on are both the book and the book it's based on are both excellent. Control Voice, I actually never got the chance to see it because, as I said, the YouTube copy was just like a long ad. And the actual link looked a bit dodgy. My antivirus rejected it. But now everyone's talking about it. Maybe I'll give it a go, yeah. I must be floating around somewhere. There must be legitimate. It's probably on Daily Motion. You know what they're like. There's loads of stuff on Daily Motion. It's don't necessarily come up in Google searches. Here we go. 8 hours ago, we're getting close now. Halloween 2021. Maiden Fan 71. Hi Ben. Not been commenting recently because I've been heavily addicted to playing Far Cry 6 on my Xbox, but still watching the videos. Hey Maiden Fan, that's cool. As long as you're watching, that's cool, mate. I sometimes find playing a game is quite fun when you put a little bit of audio behind it, and I do that a lot with Dangerous Waters. I have an audio playing while I'm playing my submarine games. You know. Okay, guys. Now that's the end of my YouTube comments. I'm now going to go to BitChute. How am I doing for time? Can I get this inside 3 hours? 12 minutes remaining, maybe. Okay, guys, now as you know, BitChute doesn't have a comments notification system, so I'm simply going to go from the last reply to comments video time and just go through my videos. When was the last one? It was, let's have a look. It was the one before Connecticut Collision, I think. Yes, it was. Okay, so I'll go down to Connecticut Collision and go from there. And unfortunately, if there's any comments on any of my other videos previous to that, I will not see them, and I'm not going to check every single upload. I've got hundreds of them. So, Connecticut Collision. This is a gaming video on Twitch, which is now gone from Twitch. Twitch only keeps them for about 2 weeks. But it's worth seeing because I bring up the UAP subject in it. No comments. So this is a video that's not on YouTube. It's an Alt Tech exclusive and Twitch exclusive. I don't normally bother with my gaming videos because I don't normally discuss Panwo-esque matters. But anyway, movies are Hospital Porter reviews. BB Tesla said, "Must be really thirsty to drink antifreeze." It's not antifreeze, BB. It is dragon juice.
Hear me?
There's a big difference.
You guys on?
Right, missing time. Hankachinky, what is it? Hank Chinkaski says, "Find a quiet place to do your recordings." Oh, look. Well, I wanted to do the recording in the location where I think it's most likely that this thing happened, and unfortunately, there is nowhere quiet around there. All right, Mowgli44 has left me a BitChute link. What is it? Let's have a look. Oh, right, this is, oh, it's a video. Vraxon is the user. It starts with, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Okay, this looks like one of the ones on Dark. Okay, I'm forward winding a little bit. How long is this? Unfortunately, this video is quite long. Oh, right, there's something weird walking. There's something weird and small. I've scrolled forward. There's a little weird small thing wandering about. Where does it come from? Where does it start in the video? Oh, yeah, it starts... Does it just appear? Oh, let me just show you. Hang on. Here you go. There you go. Can you see it? Where did it start? Do you see it there? It just appeared. Hang on. There, it comes... It lowers down from the sky there. Right. It seems to have a shadow cast towards the nearest street light, which looks a little bit suspicious. Yeah, it's wandering around. I'm afraid I don't really see this. This is likely to be fake because the shadow. It's got a shadow cast. Oh, there's a dark spot over here on the left side of the screen. Sorry, I'm not using screen capture now. And there's a light spot where there's a street light, and the shadow's been cast towards the light a bit, so that looks dodgy. Okay, so Mowgli, I'm afraid I don't think much of that video, but thank you for letting me know. Oh, I was supposed to delete that. That's my notice for the live streams. I've got no comments on it anyway. I don't need that anymore, so delete. And finally, Fazlane Escort. What's it say? Fazlane Escort here. No comments. Okay, that's BitChute over with. Okay, so on to Odyssey. As you know, there are notifications for Odyssey, but they only go back 10 days. Now, what I do is I always make a note of them when they appear, and there's none on my notifications. So, I've got no notes on my. I've got no notes at all on my on my Word document where I keep my notes. So I'm going to assume I actually have no particular comments. I'll just have a look. I'll just go through the ones since the last thing and have a quick look. Okay, Connecticut Collision. No comments. Movies of Hospital Porter reacts. No comments. I've had missing time. Oh, I've got a comment. Oh, here we go.
Actually driving down.
Oh, right. These are comments I've replied to by text from... I've had a text conversation. I don't need to read these out. But basically, Jamnoy72 put some videos, put some comments on there, and I replied to them by text. And someone else actually said, someone called Bud has said, nothing wrong with a siesta, man. No need to feel guilty about it. You can't beat a joint and crashing out for an hour or two in the woods, you old tree hugger. And I said, if only it had been that, I'd have loved it. And Jamnoy says, Ben doesn't smoke. And I said, I'm a future ex-smoker. I'm getting my quitting in first. Okay, so I did have some comments from Jamnoy, which I replied to by text. Okay, this is Free Will article. No comments. You Odyssey guys aren't very vocal, I must say. Okay, COP26. No comments. Faz Lane Escort. No comments. And finally, Halloween 2021 livestream, which I couldn't upload to BitChute. No comments. Okay, guys, that's it for Odyssey. I'll just go to Twitch quickly. Now, I think I'm going to get it. And I've only got one video actually currently on Twitch. Okay, guys, just going to do the share as always. Also, I'll save the URL for here. I don't have any comments on it. Right, so I don't need that. Okay. How are you all? Oh, hang on, that's on Odyssey. Hang on, that's just a video on Odyssey. Okay, so I'll just have one more look at, I think, yeah, I'm going to get it inside 3 hours, which is nice. One more quick refresh of, and do a quick refresh of YouTube. Okay. And I have Dark Corners UK, who says here, oh, hang on, here we go, on COP26 live stream. Hello, Ben. So my daughter returned home from school today where they've been discussing climate change. My daughter and her class have been told in no uncertain terms that if we as a society do not change things now, then within 2 years the polar ice caps will melt and the world will be flooded. This idea obviously frightened my daughter and some of her friends. How old is she, Dark Corners? Of course, I sat my daughter down and explained the truth of the situation, explained that sometimes grown-ups tell lies to try and push a particular point of view, and assured her that it was okay to challenge the information she was being fed by adults. In my opinion, this blatant fear-mongering is completely unacceptable, especially within the context of the public school system, and it cannot go unchallenged. I will be contacting my daughter's teacher and advising her to check out your channel so she might receive a proper education on the matter. Thank you very much for recommending me, Dark Corners. You never know, I might get through to her. And honestly, your daughter's lucky to have a father like you. If only more parents were willing to... Even some parents know that their kids are being lied to, and they don't say anything to the kids because they don't want any trouble at school. Well, you've got to make trouble at school sometime, and you're not scared to do that, so well done. Halloween... This is just 1 hour ago. These are comments that have been posted since I started recording this particular program. Halloween 2021. Jonathan Morgan says W23. I don't know what that means, Jonathan Morgan. Okay, do one more refresh. I'll go now to some of the live notifications on my here, because sometimes these don't appear on my comments list. So let's have a look. And there are none, actually. There are none. So that is the end. That is the end of this particular video. And thank you very much, all of you. For your go away. Sorry, I got a problem. Thanks very much for all your comments. The friendly ones, the unfriendly ones, the rude ones. They're always very funny. And for everyone else who posted a comment here on this particular video, I very much appreciate it. There will be another video. In fact, I'm planning to do another movie, a roving movie review. I want to go and see Dune. And that's going to be in the next few days, hopefully. If it's still in the flicks, I hope it will be. I won't be able to do that probably till at least the weekend. But in the meantime, hopefully, probably by the end of the week or in the weekend, I'm going to be doing another UFO disclosure video. Because despite the lull in activity, I think there's some more to say about that. So thank you, everyone, for watching. And thank you, everyone, especially who's made the comments. Without your comments, by definition, I couldn't make this video. So keep your eye on the channel. More coming very, very soon. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.